There is a moment near the end of Regular Show where a man made of lollipops flies into a star. He does it on purpose. He wraps his arms around the brother who has been trying to kill him for longer than the universe has existed, and he pulls them both into the light. The screen goes white, the music drops out, and for a few seconds, a cartoon about two slackers who work at a park becomes the quietest, most devastating thing on television. That is where this show ends, with a sacrifice nobody saw coming from the character everybody underestimated. But that is not where the twists begin, not even close. Regular Show ran for 8 seasons and 261 episodes on Cartoon Network, from September 6, 2010 to January 16, 2017. It was created by J.G. Quintel, who voiced Mordecai in High Five Ghost, who developed the show from his own college experiences and a series of short films he made at CalArts, and who pitched it to Cartoon Network with nothing but a single post-it note drawing of Mordecai, Rigby, and Pops running. The pitch worked because the drawing captured something the words never could. This was a show about mundane life that kept tearing itself open. Every episode started with something ordinary. 2 guys need to set up chairs. 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 And then, without warning, the ordinary would crack, and something impossible would crawl out. A portal, a demon, a time vortex, a sentient video game. The escalation was the show's signature, and it never got old because it was never random. Every twist grew from the characters. Every impossible thing was a metaphor for a very possible feeling. And when the show wanted to, it could twist so hard that it changed everything you thought you understood about the people living inside it. That is what this video is about. Every plot twist in Regular Show. Not the small ones. Not the weekly escalations that reset by the credits. The ones that changed the show. The ones that reframed a character. The ones that turned a joke into a tragedy, or a side character into the most important person in the room. The ones that, once you saw them, made you watch everything that came before differently. Welcome to Velvo. Get comfortable, settle in, turn the lights down low. This is going to take a while, and that is exactly the point. If you have not subscribed yet, it really does help us keep making these. Now let us get into it. The first thing Regular Show ever teaches you is that consequences are real, even when the world is absurd. The very first episode, The Power, aired on September 6, 2010. Mordecai and Rigby are wrestling in their room, goofing off with a doll they call Beef Burrito, and they accidentally put a hole in the wall. A big one, the kind that gets you fired. So they panic, and they try to figure out a way to fix it. Rigby produces a keyboard he stole from a wizard who was relieving himself in a bush. And this keyboard, it turns out, can do anything. You play a note, you sing a command, and reality bends. They use it to get a raise from Benson. They use it to make people do whatever they want. And for a few minutes, it seems like they have found the cheat code for life. Then they accidentally send Skips to the moon. That is the twist, not the keyboard, not the magic. The twist is that the magic has a cost, and the cost is immediate, and it lands on someone who did nothing wrong. Skips is just standing in the yard, and then he is gone. Launched into the vacuum of space because 2 23-year-olds could not stop playing with something they did not understand. The rest of the episode becomes a rescue mission, and by the end, Skips destroys the keyboard, Benson takes back the raise, and Mordecai and Rigby are right back where they started. Except now you know the rules. This show will give its characters power, and then it will show you exactly what that power costs. That is the engine that drives every single twist for the next 7 years. But the power is a warm-up. The show is still finding itself in Season 1. The 12 episodes that make up that first run are short, strange, and experimental. They establish the world, the park, the house. Benson, the gumball machine who manages everything and screams when things go wrong. Skips, the immortal Yeti who knows how to fix everything. Pops, the naive, lollipop-headed man who owns the park through his father, Mr. Maillard. Muscle Man and High Five Ghost, the crude, inseparable duo who work alongside Mordecai and Rigby. And Mordecai and Rigby themselves, a blue jay and a raccoon who are best friends, who are terrible at their jobs, and who spend most of their time trying to avoid work while accidentally summoning cosmic horrors. Season 1 gives you the formula. Season 2 shows you what happens when the formula has teeth. It's Time is the second episode of Season 2. It aired on January 3rd, 2011, and it contains one of the most shocking moments in the entire series, buried inside what looks like a standard jealousy plot. Mordecai wants to ask Margaret, the Robin who works at the coffee shop, on a date. Rigby wants to go see a zombie movie. Mordecai blows Rigby off, and Rigby, out of pure spite, starts flirting with Margaret to make Mordecai jealous. He sets up a date with her. He dangles it in front of Mordecai's face. He pushes and pushes and pushes. And then they end up on a microwave hurtling through a time vortex. Because this is regular show, and that is what happens. They are riding the microwave through this swirling tunnel, and Rigby will not stop taunting Mordecai. He shoves Mordecai. Mordecai shoves back, and Rigby falls off. He disintegrates. Mordecai kills Rigby. Pause on that. This is the second episode of the second season. This is a show that airs on Cartoon Network at 7 o'clock at night, and the main character murders his best friend because he could not control his jealousy over a girl. The show does not play it for laughs. Mordecai watches it happen. He sees Rigby come apart in the time stream, and his face, that simple, animated face, registers something that looks a lot like horror, a lot like guilt, a lot like a man realizing he has done something that cannot be taken back. Except it can be taken back, because this is regular show, and time travel exists. Father Time intervenes. Mordecai gets sent back to the beginning of the episode. He agrees to go to the zombie movie with Rigby. The timeline resets. Rigby never dies, but the audience saw it. The audience knows what Mordecai is capable of when he is pushed, and that knowledge does not reset. It sits underneath every interaction between these two characters for the rest of the series. Every time Mordecai gets jealous, every time he prioritizes Margaret over Rigby, there is a ghost of this moment hanging in the air. The show told you, in its 30th-something minute of existence as a full series, that Mordecai's worst self is a killer. That is not a personality trait. That is a warning. Consider the implications for a show about friendship. Mordecai and Rigby are supposed to be the heart of regular show. They are the duo, the pair, the center around which everything revolves. And the show, in its second season premiere stretch, shows you that one of them is capable of destroying the other over something as small as a date. Not over the fate of the world. Not over life and death. Over a girl and a bruised ego. That is the gap between what Mordecai presents himself as and what he actually is. He presents himself as the reasonable one, the mature one, the one who has it more together than Rigby. But its time says otherwise. Its time says that underneath the calm exterior, Mordecai has a capacity for violence and selfishness that is genuinely frightening. And the show never forgets it. If you are enjoying this so far, subscribing really does help us keep making these. That revelation about Mordecai, the one buried in a time travel episode that resets before the credits, is the first real plot twist that changes how you understand regular show. But it is not the last time the show uses its supernatural elements to expose something painfully human. There is a pattern here. The show gives you a fantastical scenario, something involving portals or demons or cosmic beings, and then it uses that scenario like a scalpel. It cuts through the surface of these characters and shows you what is underneath. The magic is never the point. The magic is the tool, and the point is always the people. Excellent is the 17th episode of Season 3. It aired on February 27, 2012, and on the surface, it is a simple challenge episode. There is a restaurant that serves an enormous omelet, and if you finish it within an hour, you win a trucker hat that says, "I'm excellent." That is the setup. That is the prize. A hat. Rigby wants the hat. He attempts the challenge, and he has an allergic reaction to the egg so severe that it puts him in a coma. A coma, over a hat. The doctor tells the park workers that Rigby might die, and just like that, the episode stops being about a hat. It becomes about Mordecai standing next to a hospital bed, looking at his best friend hooked up to machines, and making a promise. He is going to win that hat. Not because the hat matters, because the hat is the last thing Rigby wanted. And Mordecai is going to honor that, even if it is stupid, even if it is pointless, even if the whole situation is absurd, especially because the whole situation is absurd. Because that is what friendship is. It is showing up for the stupid things. It is taking someone's ridiculous dreams seriously because they are your person, and their dreams matter to you. no matter how small. The twist in Excellent is not the allergic reaction. The twist is the emotional weight the show builds out of something that should be weightless. A trucker hat, a food challenge, a cartoon raccoon in a hospital bed. These are the ingredients, and from them, the show constructs one of the most genuinely moving friendship stories in its entire run. When Mordecai wins the challenge, when he takes that hat and brings it to Rigby's bedside, it is not triumphant. It is tender. It is a man telling his unconscious friend, "I did this for you. I took your stupid things seriously. That is what you mean to me." This episode won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Short-Format Animated Program at the 64th Primetime Creative Arts Emmy Awards. And it deserved it, not because the animation was groundbreaking, not because the writing was experimental, because the show took a $5 trucker hat and made you cry over it. That is craft. That is understanding that the size of the object does not determine the size of the emotion. A lollipop man flying into a star and a blue jay winning an eating contest can carry the same weight if the show earns it, and regular show always earns it. But Excellent also reveals something about the show's relationship with death. Regular show is not afraid to put its characters in mortal danger. It is not afraid to show a hospital bed, a flatline, a moment where everything might end. And it is not afraid to let that danger linger. Rigby is in a coma for the entire episode. There is no quick fix, no magic solution. Just Mordecai, alone, trying to do something impossible for someone who cannot even see him do it. The show holds you in that discomfort. It does not rush past it. And that willingness to sit with the hard thing, to let the audience feel the weight of potential loss, is what makes the eventual resolution mean something. There is a version of regular show that never does this. A version where every episode resets cleanly, where the characters never get hurt in ways that matter, where the supernatural elements are just window dressing on a sitcom. That version exists in a lot of people's memories, because they watch the show casually, catching episodes here and there, and they remember the jokes and the catchphrases and the weird monsters. But the show that actually aired, the one that J.G. Quintel and his team actually made, is something much more ambitious. It is a show that uses its cartoon logic to tell stories about real pain, real growth, real loss. And the plot twists are where that ambition shows itself most clearly. Consider what happens when the show turns its attention to Mordecai's love life, because this is where regular show does something that almost no animated comedy has ever done. It builds a romantic arc across multiple seasons, lets it develop naturally, lets it get messy, and then lets it fail. Not as a cliffhanger, not as a setup for a triumphant reunion, as a genuine, painful, realistic failure. Mordecai spends the first 3 seasons of regular show orbiting Margaret. She is a Robin who works at a coffee shop with her friend Eileen. Mordecai is clearly, painfully, obviously in love with her. And he cannot say it. He cannot act on it. He freezes up. He makes excuses. He sends Rigby to do his talking for him. He takes her on dates that he pretends are not dates. He watches other guys flirt with her and says nothing. This is not played for laughs, exactly. It is played for recognition. Anyone who has ever been too afraid to tell someone how they feel watches Mordecai and sees themselves. And the show knows it. Bad Kiss, the 39th episode of Season 3, aired on September 3rd, 2012, and it captures this dynamic perfectly. Mordecai and Margaret are leaving a movie theater with Rigby and Eileen. They get back to the house. Mordecai forgets his wallet in Margaret's car. He goes back to get it. Margaret helps him look, and in the car, in the dark, they kiss. Finally, after 3 seasons of buildup, they kiss. And Mordecai has bad breath. Margaret pulls away. She tells him. He runs inside, mortified. And because this is regular show, Rigby happens to have a time machine he bought for $15. Mordecai uses it to go back and prevent the kiss from happening. He chases his past self through multiple time periods. The whole thing escalates into a time travel chase sequence that ends with the time machines being destroyed and the timeline resetting so that the kiss never happened at all. Mordecai, back at the car, finds his wallet quickly and stops Margaret mid-lean, preventing the kiss entirely. The twist is not the time travel. The twist is the choice. Mordecai has spent 3 seasons trying to get close to Margaret, and the first time he actually succeeds, The first time the barrier comes down and the moment arrives, his immediate instinct is to erase it. Not to fix it, not to try again with better breath, to make it so it never happened. Because the reality of the kiss, the imperfect, embarrassing human reality of it, is scarier to him than the fantasy of the kiss he has been building in his head. Mordecai does not want Margaret. Mordecai wants the idea of Margaret. And the distance between those two things is where all of his pain lives. That is the gap. What Mordecai says he wants versus what he actually does when he gets it. He says he wants to be with Margaret. He acts like a man who is terrified of being with anyone. And the show, through a $15 time machine and a bad breath gag, exposes that contradiction with surgical precision. This is not a recap of a funny episode. This is a character study disguised as a cartoon, and the diagnosis is not flattering. Meteor Moves takes this even further. Season 4, Episode 28. It aired on June 10th, 2013. Mordecai plans to kiss Margaret at a meteor shower viewing on Makeout Mountain. He has been building up to this. He has a plan. He is going to do it right this time. And the show literalizes his inability to act by introducing the guardian of the friend zone, an actual cosmic being who traps people in a glass box when they fail to make a romantic move at the right moment. Mordecai and Margaret get trapped. They float in midair, encased in glass, because Mordecai hesitated. The friend zone is real, and it is a prison, and Mordecai put himself there. Follow that thread. The show is taking a concept that exists entirely in the minds of insecure young men, the idea that there is a friend zone that women put you in, and it is making it literal. It is giving it walls and a guardian and a set of rules, and then it is showing you that the person who created those walls is not Margaret. It is Mordecai. He is the one who hesitates. He is the one who fails to act. He is the one who builds the prison and then blames the architecture. The guardian of the friend zone does not put people in. People put themselves in. And the only way out is to actually do the thing you have been afraid to do. Mordecai kisses Margaret. The glass breaks. They float to the ground. The guardian declares them free. And for a moment, suspended in the air under a meteor shower, with the friend zone literally shattering around them, it seems like the story is finally moving forward. Mordecai has broken through his own fear. He has kissed the girl. The music swells. The night is beautiful. The show gives you every visual cue of a happy ending. It stages the moment like the climax of a romance film. Two people, floating, together, free. The audience exhales. After 4 seasons, the tension is resolved. Mordecai and Margaret are together. But consider what actually happened. Mordecai did not reach out to Margaret on his own. He was literally trapped in glass until he did. The show had to imprison him in a cosmic detention cell before he could do the thing he wanted to do. His kiss was not brave. It was coerced by the architecture of the universe. He kissed Margaret because the alternative was staying in a glass box for eternity, not because he overcame his fear. And the show knows this. The show knows that a kiss, forced by circumstance, is not the same as a kiss chosen freely, and it proves it in the very next major episode of their relationship. It is not here. Stake Me Amadeus is the 37th episode of Season 4. It aired on August 12, 2013. Mordecai takes Margaret to a fancy steakhouse. He has planned this. He is going to ask her to be his girlfriend. Officially. Finally. After 4 seasons of circling, of hesitating, of almost but not quite, he is going to say the words. And the episode gives you every reason to believe it will work. The date goes well. The obstacles that arise, some returning villains causing chaos at the restaurant, are overcome. The table is set. The moment arrives. And Margaret says no. Not cruelly, not carelessly. With tears in her eyes, she shows Mordecai a letter. She has been accepted to her dream university, Milton University. It is the opportunity she has been waiting for her entire life, and she cannot pass it up. Not even for him. She tells him that what they have is special. She tells him she cares about him, and she tells him she cannot be his girlfriend. Then she leaves. The camera stays on Mordecai's face. The park crew, who are all there because of the villain subplot, watch in silence. Nobody says anything. Nobody makes a joke. Nobody tries to fix it. The episode just ends. Mordecai, sitting at a table in a steakhouse, alone, with the wreckage of a fight he won and a conversation he lost. Put it simply, Stake Me Amadeus is a season finale. It is the last episode of season 4, and the show chose to end its season not with a cliffhanger, not with a victory, not with a setup for something bigger, but with its main character getting his heart broken in public, in a cartoon, on Cartoon Network, where the target audience is 12-year-old boys. The show looked at those 12-year-old boys and said, sometimes you do everything right and it still does not work. Sometimes the person you love has a dream that does not include you. Sometimes you are not the most important thing in someone else's life. And that is not a betrayal. That is just life. The twist in Stake Me Amadeus is not that Margaret leaves. The twist is how the show frames her leaving. She is not a villain. She is not making a mistake. She is not being punished for choosing herself. The show presents her decision as the right one. It is painful, yes. It is devastating for Mordecai, absolutely. But the show never, not once, suggests that Margaret should have stayed, that she owed Mordecai a relationship, that his feelings entitled him to her presence. Margaret is a person with her own dreams, and those dreams matter, and the show respects that. In a genre and a medium where female love interests exist primarily to complete the male protagonist's story, regular show lets Margaret have her own story, and her story at this moment does not include Mordecai. That is not a twist about romance. That is a twist about respect. A quick reminder that subscribing helps the channel more than you might think. Now, back to the story. The aftermath of Stake Me Amadeus reshapes the entire show. Season 5 begins with Mordecai heartbroken, and the show does not rush his recovery. It lets him sit in it. It lets him be sad. It lets him go through the motions of work and friendship while carrying this weight. And then, gradually, it introduces someone new. CJ, a cloud person. Someone who is not Margaret. Someone who is different in almost every way. And for a while, it seems like the show is giving Mordecai a second chance. CJ first appeared in the Season 3 episode, Yes Dude Yes, which aired on May 7, 2012. In that episode, Mordecai thinks Margaret is engaged and tries to move on by dating CJ. It does not go well. He finds out Margaret is not engaged, and in his relief, he accidentally hurts CJ's feelings. She storms out, and the show files her away, a one-off character in a one-off episode. But then Season 5 brings her back, and this time, the show takes the relationship seriously. Mordecai and CJ start dating. They click. They have fun together. She is confident where Margaret was reserved. She is direct where Margaret was ambiguous. She is, in many ways, better for Mordecai than Margaret ever was. And Mordecai ruins it. This is the twist that unfolds across Seasons 5 and 6. Not in a single episode. Not in a single scene. Across dozens of episodes, slowly, painfully, with the inevitability of a car crash you can see coming from a mile away. Margaret comes back to town. She is happy for Mordecai. She genuinely is. She is glad he moved on. She wants to be friends. But there are unresolved feelings. Feelings that Mordecai has never fully dealt with, because he never processed the breakup, because he jumped into a new relationship instead of sitting with his grief. And those unresolved feelings surface at the worst possible moment. Mordecai and Margaret kiss, in front of CJ. Hold that thought. Mordecai, who spent 4 seasons pining after Margaret, who finally got over her, who found someone new, who was building something real with CJ, kisses his ex-girlfriend in front of his current girlfriend. And the show does not frame it as a passionate, romantic, swept away by feelings moment. It frames it as a failure, a moral failure, a failure of courage and honesty, and basic decency. Mordecai does not kiss Margaret because he loves her more than CJ. He kisses Margaret because he never figured out what he actually wants, because he is a man who is perpetually unable to make a decision and then live with it. Because his deepest instinct, the one the show has been showing you since its time, is to chase whatever feels good in the moment and then panic when the consequences arrive. Dumped at the Altar is the 28th episode of Season 6, the season finale. It aired on June 25th, 2015. And it is, on paper, about Muscle Man's wedding. Muscle Man, the crude, my mom, joke-telling, shirtless park worker, is marrying his girlfriend Starla. The whole crew is there. It is a celebration. And the show gives Muscle Man a genuinely beautiful moment. He reads a letter from his late father, Muscle Dad, and the emotion is real. This is a character who has spent 6 seasons being the comic relief, the gross-out guy, the one who exists to say something inappropriate at exactly the wrong time. And here he is, at his wedding, reading his dead father's words, and the show lets him be tender. It lets him be vulnerable. It lets him be a man who loves someone and is not afraid to say it. But Mordecai cannot let Muscle Man have his day. Not intentionally, not maliciously. But Mordecai, in the middle of the wedding, gives a speech that is supposed to be about Muscle Man and Starla, and it turns into a speech about his own relationship problems. About Margaret, about CJ, about his inability to choose. And CJ, who is there, who has been dealing with the fallout of the kiss, who has been waiting for Mordecai to commit to something, anything, watches her boyfriend use someone else's wedding to publicly process his confusion. She cuts him off before he can finish. She runs out crying. The twist in Dumped at the Altar is not that Mordecai and CJ break up. The twist is who the show sides with. It sides with CJ. It sides with Muscle Man. It sides with everyone except Mordecai. Because Mordecai, the protagonist, the character the audience is supposed to root for, is the problem. He is the one causing pain. He is the one who cannot get out of his own head long enough to be present for the people who need him. He is the one who takes a day that belongs to someone else and makes it about himself. The show does not punish Mordecai with supernatural consequences. No monster appears. No portal opens. The punishment is entirely human. He loses CJ. He embarrasses himself. He hurts his friends. And the show holds him accountable for all of it. There is an episode that captures the toxicity of Mordecai's indecisiveness with devastating precision. 1000th Chopper Flight Party aired during Season 6. Margaret's father is celebrating his 1000th helicopter flight, and Mordecai is invited to the party. He is dating CJ at this point. CJ encourages him to go. She is secure enough in their relationship to let her boyfriend attend a party at his ex's house. She asks him to bring back a slice of cake. That is it. That is her ask. Go to the party, have fun, bring cake. And Mordecai turns the entire event into a crisis. He is so afraid of interacting with Margaret that he uses Rigby as a human shield, letting Rigby cause chaos at the party, just to create diversions that keep Margaret away from him. He is not avoiding Margaret because he has moved on. He is avoiding her because he has not. And his avoidance, his inability to simply be normal around an ex-girlfriend, is itself a form of betrayal. CJ trusted him. CJ told him to go. And Mordecai responded to that trust by acting like a man who has something to hide, because he does. He has unresolved feelings that he is too afraid to examine and too cowardly to confess. Margaret, to her credit, confronts him. She scolds him for being weird. She tells him she just wants to be friends. She is doing the work of normalizing their relationship post-breakup, and Mordecai is refusing to let her do it. He is making it harder than it needs to be, because the difficulty is a way of keeping the relationship alive in his head. If things are still awkward with Margaret, then Margaret still matters. And if Margaret still matters, then Mordecai does not have to fully commit to CJ. The awkwardness is not a problem. It is a strategy. An unconscious one, yes, but a strategy nonetheless. CJ, meanwhile, sees the pictures from the party. She sees Mordecai and Margaret together, and her reaction is not calm. She turns into a storm. Literally. CJ's emotional state manifests as weather patterns because she is a cloud person. Her jealousy becomes a literal storm that nearly kills Mordecai, Margaret, and Margaret's parents. And afterward, CJ is horrified by her own reaction. She runs away in tears, ashamed of what her jealousy turned her into. The show does not excuse CJ's violence, but it understands it. It traces the line from Mordecai's dishonesty to CJ's insecurity to the explosion. The storm is not CJ's fault alone. It is the result of a relationship built on Mordecai's refusal to be honest. When you deny someone the truth, you take away their ability to respond proportionally. CJ never got to respond to Mordecai's unresolved feelings because Mordecai never told her about them. So the feelings festered, on both sides, until they became a storm that destroyed a party. That is not a subplot. That is one of the most psychologically accurate depictions of a failing relationship in any animated show. And the twist, repeated across every Mordecai relationship episode, is always the same. Mordecai is not unlucky in love. He is bad at it. He is the reason his relationships fail. Not fate, not circumstance, not the women. Him. The show gives its protagonist a flaw that he never fully overcomes during the series, and it refuses to romanticize that flaw. Mordecai's inability to commit is not charming, it is destructive, and the show makes you watch the destruction, episode after episode, until you stop rooting for Mordecai's love life and start hoping the women in his life get away from him before he damages them further. This is regular show's most sustained and most brutal plot twist. Not a single shocking moment, but a slow, season-long demonstration that the protagonist is not ready for a relationship. Not with Margaret, not with CJ, not with anyone. And the show does not fix him. It does not give him a montage of self-improvement. It does not pair him with someone new in the next episode. It lets him sit in the mess he made. And eventually, seasons later, in the series finale, we learn that Mordecai ends up with someone we have never met, a bat named Steph. The show's final twist on Mordecai's love life is that the love of his life was never any of the women we watched him pursue for 8 seasons. It was someone entirely off-screen, someone the show never introduced. Because the show was never a love story, it was a growing-up story. And growing up means that the person you end up with is not always the person the story seemed to be about. That is a very different kind of twist, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. But Mordecai's love life, as central as it is not the only place where regular show buries its most powerful twists. The show does something remarkable with its supporting characters. It takes people who seem like one thing, people who seem simple, people who seem like they exist to fill a role, and then it peels back the surface and shows you the depth underneath. And nowhere is this more devastating than with Skips. Skips is the immortal Yeti who works at the park. He is the fixer, the wise one, the character who always knows what to do when things go wrong. He has a calm, steady presence. He speaks in short sentences. He does not panic. He does not joke around. He skips everywhere he goes instead of walking, which is played as a quirk, a character trait, the kind of thing you notice and accept and move past. That is Skips, the reliable one, the one who has seen everything. Skip's story is the 22nd episode of Season 5. It aired on April 14, 2014, as a half-hour special, and it peels back every single layer of this character until there is nothing left but grief. The episode opens with Mordecai and Rigby asking Skips why he skips. A simple question. A question the audience has been asking since the first episode. And Skips, for the first time, decides to answer it. He tells them the story of his life. And what unfolds is not a comedy. It is not an action story. It is a tragedy. Skips was not always called Skips. He was called Walks. He was a young man, strong and brave, and he fell in love with a woman named Mona. And Mona, the show tells you with a gentleness that makes it worse, was the kind of person who made the world make sense. She was his anchor, his reason, the thing that made immortality bearable. Because Skips did not choose immortality. It was given to him because he is the only being capable of defeating a cosmic entity called Clorgbane the Destroyer, who returns every 157 years. The Guardians of Eternal Youth granted Skips eternal life so that he could fight Clorgbane every time he returned. That is the deal. Live forever. Fight the monster. Protect the world. But the price of living forever is watching everyone you love die. And Mona dies. Not of old age. Not of illness. She is killed by falling debris during a battle. She dies young. She dies violently. She dies in front of Skips, and there is nothing his immortality can do to save her. After Mona dies, Walks changes his name. He starts skipping everywhere he goes. Because Mona used to skip. It was her thing. Her happy, carefree, joyful way of moving through the world. And Skips takes it on. Not as a tribute exactly. Not as a memorial. As a way of carrying her with him. Every time he moves, every time he crosses a room, or walks through the park, or goes anywhere at all, he does it the way she would have done it. He has been doing this for centuries. Every single skip is an act of grief. Take a moment with that. Every episode of regular show where you have seen Skips in the background, skipping past, doing his thing, being the reliable guy. He has been mourning. He has been carrying a dead woman's memory in his body, in his movement, in the most fundamental physical expression of who he is. The name Skips is not a name, it is a scar. The show does not comment on this. It does not add swelling music to tell you how to feel. It just shows you the locket Skips still carries. A locket with a picture of him and Mona inside. He has carried it for centuries. Through every battle with Clorgbane. Through every day at the park. Through every moment of fixing Mordecai and Rigby's messes, and cleaning up after Benson's failures, and standing quietly while the world goes crazy around him. He has carried that locket. And the show, in its 5th season, finally tells you what it means. Skip's story is the most emotionally devastating twist in regular show. Not because it changes the plot. The plot does not change at all. Skips goes right back to being the fixer, the reliable one, the guy who knows everything. Nothing in the present changes. But everything in the past is rewritten. Every moment you remember of Skips doing his job, solving problems, being the calm center of a chaotic world, now carries the weight of a man who lost the love of his life and chose to honor her by never walking again. The twist does not change what happens. It changes what everything means. If this kind of deep dive is your thing, consider subscribing. It means a lot. If Skips's backstory is the show's most devastating character twist, then the revelation about Thomas is its most audacious. Because where Skip's story takes a beloved character and adds depth, the real Thomas takes a nothing character and detonates him. Thomas joins the cast in the Season 4 premiere, Exit 9B, which aired on October 1st, 2012. That premiere is itself a massive plot twist. The episode opens with the park demolished. The staff have been brainwashed. A mysterious stranger has been overseeing the construction of a highway exit ramp through the park grounds. And the stranger reveals himself as Garrett Bobby Ferguson Jr., the son of a villain from a Season 1 episode, who has been orchestrating an elaborate revenge plot against Mordecai and Rigby. The construction of Exit 9B is not a construction project. It is a portal, and when it activates, every villain the show has ever featured comes pouring through it. Exit 9B is regular show's first real continuity episode. Up until this point, the show has been largely episodic. Monsters appear, get defeated, and never come back. But Exit 9B says, actually, they are all still out there. They remember, they are angry, and they are coming back. The heroes win, of course. With help from allies, the show has also accumulated over 3 seasons. Death, the god of basketball, the guardians of eternal youth, Gary, Tecmo. The show reveals that it has been building a universe this whole time, and that universe has memory. That is the twist, not the villain's plan. The twist is that regular show is not episodic. It just looked that way. And at the end of Exit 9B, a new character appears, Thomas, a goat, an intern. He is quiet, unassuming, polite. He does not stand out. He does not have catchphrases or big moments or dramatic arcs. He is, by design, the most forgettable character on the show. He hangs around the park. He does odd jobs. He blends into the background. For 2 seasons, Thomas is wallpaper, present but invisible. The kind of character you stop noticing after a few episodes. The Real Thomas is the 8th episode of Season 6. Its full title is The Real Thomas, an Intern Special. It aired on November 20th, 2014 as a half-hour special, and it reveals that Thomas has been a Russian spy the entire time. His real name is Nikolai. He was born in Kyiv, abandoned by his parents, found and adopted by the Russian government, and trained as a perfect weapon of loyalty to Mother Russia. He was sent to America with a partner named Natalia, given fake identities, and placed in the park to infiltrate it. The park. The place where Mordecai and Rigby mow lawns and get into fights with sentient hot dogs. A foreign intelligence agency has been running a long-term espionage operation inside it. Say it directly. For 2 full seasons of a Cartoon Network show about slackers, there has been a sleeper agent sitting in the background of episodes, drinking coffee, doing intern tasks, saying almost nothing, and nobody noticed. Not the characters, not the audience. Because Thomas was designed to be invisible. That was his cover. His blandness was his weapon. The show made him boring on purpose, and then it weaponized that boredom. But the twist goes deeper. The Russian government does not just want to steal the park. They want to blow it up. They want to destroy it as a way around international treaties, eliminating the land and everyone on it. When Thomas, Nikolai, learns this, he has to make a choice. He can follow his orders and let the people who treated him like a friend die, or he can betray the only family he has ever known, the government that raised him, to protect the only real family he has ever had, the people at the park. He chooses the park. He turns the landmass around. He saves everyone, and then he disappears into hiding because he is now a traitor to Russia and a spy in America, and there is no version of his life that includes staying. The twist in The Real Thomas is not just that Thomas is a spy. It is what that spy story says about identity. Thomas spent 2 years being someone he was not. He played a role. He wore a mask. And somewhere along the way, the mask became more real than the face underneath it. The friendships he made at the park were supposed to be cover. They were supposed to be fake. But they were not. They were the most real thing he had ever experienced. And when the moment of truth came, the real Thomas was not Nikolai the spy. The real Thomas was Thomas the intern. The guy who did nothing special. The guy who just wanted to belong somewhere. The mask became the face. The cover became the truth. And the show, a cartoon about a park, tells you that identity is not something you are born with. It is something you choose, every day, in every interaction, in every quiet moment where nobody is watching. That is not a small thing. Regular show's relationship with identity runs through its entire structure. Every major plot twist in the show is, at its core, about the distance between who someone appears to be and who they actually are. Mordecai appears to be the mature, level-headed one. He is actually a coward who cannot make decisions. Skips appears to be a stoic, unflappable problem solver. He is actually a man carrying centuries of grief. Thomas appears to be a boring intern. He is actually a weapon of a foreign government who chose friendship over duty. And then there is Muscle Man. Muscle Man is, for most of the show's run, a joke machine. He is the guy who says "my mom" after everything. He is the guy who takes his shirt off for no reason. He is the guy who high-fives High-Five Ghost. He is loud, crude, obnoxious, and seemingly incapable of sincerity. He is the character you tolerate because the show asks you to, not because he has earned your investment. And then the show gives him depth so quietly that you almost miss it happening. The End of Muscle Man is a special that aired during Season 6, on November 6, 2014. The title sounds dramatic. The premise sounds dramatic. Muscle Man tells the park crew that he has received devastating news and wants to spend his final days doing a bucket list of activities, including eating all of his favorite foods as a last meal. The crew rallies around him. They think he is dying. The audience thinks he is dying. The show builds the entire episode around the assumption that this big, loud, obnoxious character is about to be taken away. He is not dying. He is proposing. The devastating news is that he has decided to get married. The last meal is the last meal of his bachelorhood. The end of Muscle Man is the end of Muscle Man as a single guy. The whole episode is a misdirection, a twist built on the audience's assumption that the end of Muscle Man means death, but it means love. And then the show twists again. Because Muscle Man, in preparation for his proposal, decides to stop being Muscle Man. He decides to become Mitch Sorenstein, his real name, the name his mother gave him. He shaves. He dresses up. He becomes, in his mind, a more serious, more respectable version of himself. A version worthy of asking someone to spend their life with him. And Starla says no. Not to the proposal, to Mitch. She says no to the version of Muscle Man who is trying to be someone he is not. She fell in love with Muscle Man, she tells him, not Mitch. She does not want the cleaned-up, respectable, toned-down version. She wants him, the real him, the loud, crude, shirtless, my mom saying him. That is the man she loves, and she will not marry a stranger just because that stranger is wearing her boyfriend's face. When Muscle Man stops pretending and reassumes his identity, Starla accepts the proposal, and the twist completes itself. This episode is not about death. It is not even about marriage. It is about the fear that who you actually are is not good enough. It is about the impulse to become someone else before the most important moment of your life, and the person who loves you saying, "Stop, I chose you." Not the version of you that you think I want. You. The real, messy, imperfect, ridiculous you. That is a love story. And regular show buried it inside the character least likely to carry one. There is a detail about Muscle Man that most viewers overlook, and it deepens the twist even further. Muscle Man's father, Muscle Dad, died before the events of the series. He appears in flashbacks and is referenced occasionally, but he is gone. And Muscle Man carries that absence with him the way some people carry a stone in their pocket. You do not see it, you do not know it is there, but it weighs on everything he does. When Muscle Man reads his father's letter at the wedding and dumped at the altar, the letter that Muscle Dad wrote before he died, it is the first time the show fully acknowledges what Muscle Man has lost. Here is a man who makes my mom jokes, who deflects every sincere emotion with crudeness, who has built an entire persona around not being vulnerable, reading his dead father's words out loud at his own wedding. And the words are loving, the words are proud. The words are everything Muscle Man needed to hear from his father and can never hear again, except through this letter, this artifact, this last communication from a man who is gone. The twist is that Muscle Man's crudeness was never about not caring. It was about caring too much. He lost his father. He carries that loss every day. And the my mom jokes, the shirtlessness, the loudness, all of it is the armor of a man who is terrified of feeling the thing he feels every single day. The thing he cannot joke away. The thing that sits underneath every punchline and every bit and every performance of not caring. Muscle Man cares more than anyone in the park. He just cannot say it. And the show, by giving him the wedding, by giving him the letter, by giving him the proposal and Starla's acceptance and the future they build together, is saying, you are allowed to stop performing. You are allowed to feel it. The people who love you will still be there when the armor comes off. Consider what that means for a show that is, on its surface, about two dudes who slack off at a park. Regular show is not a romance. It is not a drama. It is a comedy about animated animals who accidentally summon demons. And inside that comedy, it built a love story about self-acceptance that is more honest than most actual romance shows ever manage. Muscle Man is not the character the audience cares about the most. He is not the protagonist. He is not the heartthrob. He is the fat joke, the gross joke. The character you fast forward through to get to Mordecai and Margaret, and the show makes him the character with the healthiest, most grounded, most emotionally mature love story in the entire series. That is not an accident. That is a statement. The show is telling you that the people you overlook are often the ones who have figured it out. That the person who says "my mom" after everything might also be the person who knows exactly who he is and exactly who he loves, and is willing to fight for both of those things without apology. There is a pattern in regular show that becomes clear once you start looking for it. The show introduces a character in a simple role. It lets you get comfortable with that role. It lets you build assumptions. And then, sometimes seasons later, it detonates those assumptions and shows you something completely different underneath. Skips is not just the fixer. Thomas is not just the intern. Muscle Man is not just the joke. And Benson is not just the angry boss. Benson is a gumball machine. He is the park manager. He spends most of the show yelling at Mordecai and Rigby for not doing their jobs. He threatens to fire them constantly. He is, in the show's early seasons, an obstacle, a source of tension, the guy whose authority exists to be undermined. He is the boss in a show that is fundamentally about not wanting to have a boss. And if you watch the show casually, that is all he is, an angry gumball machine who turns red when he yells. But regular show, across multiple episodes spread over multiple seasons, reveals that Benson's anger is not a personality trait, it is armor. And the show does this not through one big revelation, but through a series of smaller ones, each one adding a piece to a picture you did not know was being assembled. Stick Hockey is the first episode of Season 3. It aired on September 19, 2011, and it reveals that Benson used to play stick hockey, not casually, obsessively. He was a master, and he had an apprentice named Dave, a young kid who looked up to him, who wanted to learn, who trusted him. And Dave was killed. decapitated during a match against an opponent named Chong, right in front of Benson, and Benson quit. He walked away from the game and never went back. For 10 years, he carried that guilt, the guilt of teaching someone something dangerous, the guilt of watching someone he was responsible for die, the guilt of a man who believed, at his core, that the things he cared about got the people around him hurt. The show does not belabor this. It does not turn Benson into a brooding anti-hero. It tells the story in one episode and moves on. But the story does not move on. It stays underneath everything Benson does for the rest of the series. Every time Benson yells at Mordecai and Rigby, every time he threatens to fire them, every time he tries to control the chaos around him, there is a man underneath who watched someone die because he was not careful enough. His need for order is not neurotic. It is survival. If things are orderly, nobody gets hurt. If everybody follows the rules, nobody dies. The anger is not about chairs being unset or lawns being unmowed. The anger is about control, and the need for control is about loss. 150-piece Kit is the 5th episode of Season 4. It aired on October 15th, 2012, and it reveals another layer. Before Benson was a park manager, before he was a stick hockey player, he was a drummer. Not just a drummer, the founding member of a hair metal band called Hair to the Throne. He played a legendary drum solo on a 150-piece drum kit that became the centerpiece of the band's first album. He was extraordinary. He was a star, and his bandmates, jealous of his talent, afraid that he would overshadow them, kicked him out after 6 months. They replaced him with a machine called the Drumatron 6. Put it simply, Benson, the gumball machine who manages a park, was once a rock star who was replaced by an actual machine. His bandmates looked at him, at his passion, at his talent, at the thing that made him feel alive, and they said, "We can do this without you. A machine can do what you do. You are replaceable." And Benson believed them. He walked away from music. He walked away from the thing he loved most. And he became a park manager. Not because he wanted to manage a park, because he stopped believing he deserved anything better. Because the world told him his passion was a liability, and he internalized that message so deeply that he built his entire life around not being passionate about anything ever again. His anger at Mordecai and Rigby, viewed through this lens, is not about their laziness. It is about their freedom. They slack off. They goof around. They pursue their interests without fear. And Benson, who had his passion destroyed, who was told his talent did not matter, watches them do it every day and it burns. Not because he disapproves, because he envies. That is the behavior of someone who has given up. That is the behavior of someone who punishes other people for having what they lost. And the show, through a stick hockey episode and a drum solo episode, tells you everything you need to know about why Benson is the way he is, without ever having Benson say a single word about it. The show trusts you to see the pattern. It trusts you to connect the dots. And when you do, when you see Benson not as an angry boss but as a broken artist, the entire show shifts. Now consider the show's biggest structural twist, the one that does not happen in a single episode but across an entire season. The one that takes regular show, a grounded, episodic comedy about a park, and launches it into space. Rigby's Graduation Day Special is the finale of Season 7. It aired on June 30th, 2016, and to understand why it is a twist, you need to understand what it resolves and what it detonates. Rigby, throughout the series, has been the irresponsible one, the dropout, the one who never finishes anything, the one who Mordecai drags along, who Benson yells at, who everybody expects to fail. And the show, over 7 seasons, slowly, quietly, proves them all wrong. Rigby grows up, not in a dramatic, single-episode transformation, in the small, unglamorous, real way that people actually grow up. He starts taking things seriously. He starts caring about things. He goes back to school. He earns his diploma. And his graduation day should be a triumph. It is a triumph. He gives a speech. He earns the respect of his friends. He does something that everybody, including himself, believed he was incapable of doing. This is the payoff of 7 seasons of character development, and it is earned, every single beat of it. And then the park launches into space. A dome that had been placed over the park as part of an experiment, installed during a Season 7 episode called the Dome Experiment Special, that aired on August 27, 2015, activates. The big red button that the crew had been warned about throughout the season turns out to be a launch button. The park, the dome, and everyone inside it are launched off the surface of the Earth and into orbit. The season ends with the crew floating in space, looking out through the dome at the moon, with no way to get back. This is the most radical structural twist in the show's history. Regular Show, a comedy about mundane park life, becomes Regular Show in space. Season 8, the final season, takes place entirely in space. The park is hurtling through the cosmos. The characters are cut off from everything they know. The episodic, grounded, slice-of-life format that defined the show for 7 seasons is gone. And in its place is something serialized, something epic, something that has been building, it turns out, since the very beginning. Because the park going to space is not random. It is the culmination of a thread the show has been weaving since season 1. The dome, the experiments, Mr. Maillard's mysterious involvement. The park is not just a park. It has never been just a park. It is a vessel, a spacecraft, a piece of technology that was always designed to leave Earth. And the crew, the groundskeepers and the manager and the intern and the immortal Yeti, were always going to be its passengers. But why? That is the question Season 8 answers. And the answer is the show's biggest, most ambitious, most emotionally shattering twist of all. Pops is the chosen one. To understand what that means, you need to understand what Pops has been for 7 seasons. He is the sweet one, the innocent one, the childlike man with a lollipop head who talks like a Victorian gentleman and gets excited about butterflies and is utterly, completely, wonderfully out of his depth in every situation. He is the owner of the park, technically, through his father, Mr. Maillard. But he does not act like an owner. He acts like a resident. A gentle, bewildered, perpetually delighted resident who does not understand why people are mean to each other and cannot figure out how the television works. For 7 seasons, that is Pops, the comic relief, the innocent. The character who exists to be kind in a world that is often unkind. He is not threatening. He is not powerful. He is not important in any narrative sense. He is loved by the characters and by the audience, but he is not central. He is not the protagonist. He is the sweet old man who lives in the house. Season 8 reveals that Pops is not a human. He is not from Earth. He was born on a planet called Lollyland. His real name is Mega Cranus. He is the embodiment of pure good in the universe, and he has a twin brother named Malum Cranus, who is the embodiment of pure evil. The universe created them both to maintain balance, and for eons, longer than the universe has existed in its current form, Pops and his brother have fought, over and over, in an endless cycle. Pops tries to save the universe. His brother tries to destroy it. They fight. One of them wins. The universe resets, and it begins again. The sweet, naive, lollipop-headed man who has been living in the park house for 7 seasons is a cosmic being of immeasurable power who has been fighting the same war since before time began. The character the show treated as background noise, as comic relief, as the most insignificant person in the room, is the most important being in existence. The entire show, every episode, every adventure, every time Mordecai and Rigby accidentally summoned a demon or opened a portal or broke reality, has been happening in the shadow of this cosmic war. The park was not a park, it was a hiding place. Mr. Maillard was not just Pops's father, he was his protector. He found Pops as a baby on an asteroid during an expedition and raised him, kept him safe, kept him hidden, until the time came for Pops to fulfill his destiny. The twist is not that Pops has a destiny. The twist is that the destiny was always there, hiding in plain sight, in the body of the most innocent character on the show. The show was telling you who Pops was the entire time. Every moment of kindness, every moment of gentleness, every moment where Pops chose compassion over anger or understanding over judgment was not a character quirk. It was the embodiment of pure good doing what pure good does, being good. Quietly, consistently, without recognition, without anyone understanding what it was. And the show, by hiding the most powerful being in the universe, inside the most powerless-seeming character, says something profound about where goodness actually lives. It does not live in the heroes. It does not live in the fighters. It does not live in the people who look strong or act tough or demand attention. It lives in the quiet ones, the overlooked ones, the ones who skip through life with a smile and a lollipop and a genuine, unshakable belief that people are worth caring about. If you have made it this far, a subscribe would genuinely help. Let us keep going. The revelation about Pops changes everything that came before it, but the show is not done twisting, because knowing that Pops is the chosen one means knowing that he has a brother. And anti-Pops, Malum Cranus, is one of the most effective villains in animation history, precisely because the show takes its time revealing him. Anti-Pops does not appear until season 8. He does not announce himself. He does not give speeches about his evil plans. He arrives as a presence, a weight, a shadow falling over the season. The park crew, stranded in space, gradually learn about the war they have been drafted into. They learn about Lollyland. They learn about the cycle. They learn that Pops has to fight. And they watch Pops, sweet, innocent, terrified Pops, try to prepare himself for a battle he has already fought and lost countless times before. Anti-Pops is everything Pops is not. Where Pops is gentle, Anti-Pops is brutal. Where Pops is naive, Anti-Pops is calculating. Where Pops believes in people, Anti-Pops believes in nothing. He does not want to rule the universe. He does not want power. He wants erasure. He wants everything to stop existing. Not out of anger, not out of pain, out of a cosmic certainty that existence itself is the problem, and that the only solution is to end it all and start over. He is not a villain who wants to win. He is a villain who wants to delete the game. And the show, in its final episodes, does something extraordinary with this dynamic. It takes the oldest story in fiction, good versus evil, light versus dark, hero versus villain, and it refuses the expected ending. Pops does not defeat Anti-Pops by being stronger. He does not find a hidden power. He does not unlock a new form. He does not outsmart his brother or outfight him or find some cosmic loophole that lets good triumph over evil in the traditional sense. Anti-Pops does not try to understand Pops. He does not want to negotiate. He does not have a tragic backstory that explains his evil. He simply is. He is the void. He is the absence. He is the thing that exists because something else exists, and his only purpose is to cancel it out. And that makes him terrifying in a way that most cartoon villains never achieve, because you cannot reason with an absence. You cannot argue with the void. You cannot appeal to the better nature of something that has no nature at all. Anti-Pops is not a person who chose evil. He is evil that was given a body. And the difference between those two things is the difference between a villain you can defeat and a force you can only survive. The show handles this distinction carefully. It does not humanize Anti-Pops. It does not give him a redemption arc. It does not suggest that he is misunderstood or that his pain justifies his actions. Anti-Pops is not Quilgan. He is not Garrett Bobby Ferguson Jr. He is not a person who was hurt and lashed out. He is the principle of destruction incarnate. And the only response to him, the only response the show will allow, is not violence and not reason. It is love. Pure, irrational, self-sacrificing love. The kind that makes no strategic sense. The kind that gets you killed. The kind that a lollipop man would offer his brother on the way into the sun. A regular epic final battle is the series finale. It is a 3-part episode. The final part aired on January 16th, 2017, and in it, Pops faces Anti-Pops for the last time. The park crew fights alongside him. There are battles. There are sacrifices. There are moments of heroism from every character in the show's history. But in the end, it comes down to Pops and his brother, alone, in the void. And Pops hugs him. He does not punch him. He does not blast him with cosmic energy. He does not destroy him. He wraps his arms around his brother, the being who has been trying to kill him since before the universe began, and he holds him. He chooses love over violence. He chooses connection over destruction. He chooses, in the final moment, to be exactly who he has always been, the gentle one, the kind one, the one who believes that people, even cosmic embodiments of pure evil, are worth reaching out to. and then he flies them both into a star. Because the hug is not enough to stop the cycle. The cycle demands a winner and a loser. Good and evil must fight, and one must prevail, and the universe must reset. That is how it has always worked. That is how it was designed to work. And Pops, by embracing his brother and carrying them both into the sun, breaks the cycle. Not by winning, by refusing to play, by choosing mutual destruction over perpetual war, by saying, "This ends here, not because I defeated you, because I loved you, and I will not fight you again." Pops dies, the screen goes white, the universe does not reset, the cycle is broken. The park crew, who were erased during the battle, are brought back. They return to Earth, they go home, and in the park, where everything started, they build a statue of Pops. A lollipop man, smiling, arms spread, standing in the center of the place he loved most. And Benson, the angry gumball machine who spent 8 seasons yelling about chair arrangements and lawn care, leaves flowers at the base of the statue and says nothing. And the show holds on that image. The flowers, the statue, the silence, the absence of the gentlest person in the room. That is how regular show ends. Not with a victory, not with a celebration, with a memorial, with the quiet acknowledgement that the best person they ever knew gave everything to save them, and all they can do in return is remember. But the Pops revelation, as massive as it is, does not exist in isolation. It is the final piece of a puzzle the show has been assembling for years. And to appreciate the full weight of that puzzle, you need to go back and look at the pieces the show laid down along the way. Pieces that seemed like standalone episodes at the time. Pieces that, in retrospect, were always pointing towards something larger. Consider Over the Top, Season 2, Episode 22. It aired on May 23, 2011. The premise is simple. Rigby challenges Skips to an arm wrestling match. Skips, being an immortal Yeti with centuries of experience, declines. He knows he is too strong. He knows the match would not be fair. But Rigby, being Rigby, will not let it go. He cheats. He uses a mechanical arm device called a Playco Armboy to boost his strength. And the match happens. Skips, in a moment of competitive fury, slams Rigby through the table. Rigby does not survive. The force of Skips's strength, combined with the Armboy's mechanics, kills him. Rigby dies. On screen. In the second season of a Cartoon Network show. Now, Rigby dying is not unprecedented by this point. Its time already showed that death is a real possibility in this world, even if it gets reversed. But Over the Top goes further. Because after Rigby dies, Skips has to arm wrestle death. Not a metaphor for death. Death, the character. A sentient being who collects souls and who has been a recurring presence in the show since his first appearance. Skips has to beat death in a direct, physical competition to win Rigby's soul back. A Yeti arm wrestles the personification of mortality to bring a raccoon back from the dead. And the show plays it straight. There is no wink. There is no meta-awareness. The stakes are real. The emotion is real. Skips is genuinely terrified that he killed someone he cares about. And the show, by having death be a literal character you can challenge to a game, establishes something fundamental about its universe. Death exists in regular show, but death is negotiable. Death can be challenged. Death can be beaten. Not easily. Not without cost. But the door between life and death in this world has a lock, and the show keeps handing its characters keys. And the guardians of eternal youth, the beings who granted Skips his immortality, are themselves a twist on what immortality means. They are baby-faced beings who live in a hot tub in the sky. They are absurd. They are ridiculous. They look like oversized infants wearing robes. And they hold the power of eternal life. The show takes the most solemn concept imaginable, living forever, and hands it to characters who look like they belong in a diaper commercial. That is not disrespect. That is the show's way of saying that the deepest truths are often found in the silliest places. That immortality is not grand or noble. It is weird. It is inconvenient. It comes with obligations, like fighting Clorgbane every 157 years, and rituals, like performing a spirit dance on your birthday. Immortality, in regular show, is a job. It has a contract. It has terms and conditions. And Skips, the immortal, is not free. He is an employee of eternity, bound to a duty he never asked for, performing a task that will never end, carrying a grief that will never fade. The guardians gave him eternal life, but they could not give him eternal peace. Nobody can. That is the part of the deal they do not mention. This matters because it sets up the one death in the series that cannot be reversed. When Pops dies in the finale, the audience has been conditioned to expect a reversal. 7 seasons of near deaths and actual deaths, followed by resurrections, have taught them that nobody stays dead in regular show. Rigby comes back. Every character who dies comes back. That is the pattern. That is the expectation. And the show uses that expectation as a weapon. When Pops flies into the star, when the screen goes white, when the universe does not reset, the audience waits for the reversal. They wait for death to appear with a challenge. They wait for the guardians of eternal youth to intervene. They wait for any of the dozen mechanisms the show has established for bringing people back. The reversal does not come. Pops is gone. The statue is all that remains. That is the cruelest, most effective plot twist in the entire series. Not the death itself. The subversion of the show's own established rules. Regular show spent 7 seasons teaching you that death is temporary, and then it spent its final episode proving that it is not. The twist is not that Pops dies. The twist is that the show lied to you, for 7 years, about what kind of story it was telling. You thought it was a story where everybody makes it out alive. It was not. It was always building to a death that sticks. And the fact that it is the sweetest, most innocent, most undeserving character who pays the price is not an accident. It is the point. The show is telling you that goodness costs, that the people who give the most are often the ones who lose the most, and that the universe, even a universe full of talking animals and magic keyboards and cosmic wars, is not fair. It has never been fair, and hoping it will be is a kind of innocence that only someone like Pops would have, and that innocence is what saves everyone. There is another kind of twist in regular show that does not involve death or cosmic revelations. It involves the quiet, slow unraveling of who a character really is, done not through a single dramatic episode, but through a series of small revelations that accumulate over seasons until, one day, you look at a character and realize you are seeing someone completely different from the person you met in episode 1. Rigby is the best example of this. And the twist is not that Rigby changes. The twist is what Rigby was hiding from the very beginning. For the first 4 seasons of regular show, Rigby is the screw-up. He is the lazy one, the irresponsible one, the one who cuts corners and avoids work and drags Mordecai into trouble. He is a high school dropout, which the show establishes early and revisits periodically. He is impulsive. He is immature. He is, on the surface, the simpler of the 2 main characters. Mordecai has depth. Mordecai has romantic subplots and existential crises. Rigby has jokes and bad decisions. But underneath that surface, the show is building something. It starts small. Season 1, Episode 10, Dawn. Aired on November 22, 2010. Rigby's brother Don visits the park. Don is everything Rigby is not. He is tall, he is charismatic, he is successful. He gives everyone sugar, his signature shake hug, and everyone loves him. The park crew, the people who see Rigby every day, immediately prefer Don. They laugh louder at Don's jokes. They listen more attentively to Don's stories. They treat Don as if he is the version of Rigby that Rigby should have been. And Rigby sees it. He sees the way people light up around his brother. He sees the gap between what Don is and what he is. And instead of competing, instead of trying harder, he withdraws. He gets angry. He pushes Don away. He refuses to give Don sugar. And the episode frames this as Rigby being petty, being jealous, being the smaller person in every sense of the word. But consider what it actually means. Rigby is a young man who has been compared to his brother his entire life and has come up short every single time. His brother is taller, more likable, more successful, more everything. And the people in Rigby's life, the people who are supposed to be his friends, confirm that comparison within minutes of meeting Don. They do not even realize they are doing it. They do not notice the way Rigby shrinks when Don walks in. They do not see the hurt. They see the anger, and they label it jealousy, and they move on. The show eventually resolves the episode with Rigby giving Dawn sugar, which is presented as growth. And it is, on the surface. But the damage is done. The audience now knows something about Rigby that explains a lot of his behavior. His laziness is not random. His refusal to try is not personality. It is protection. If you never try, you never fail. If you never compete, you never lose. If you never reach for something, nobody can tell you that your brother would have reached it first and better. Rigby's entire persona, the slacker, the dropout, the guy who does not care, is a defense mechanism. And the show, through a seemingly light episode about a visiting brother, tells you that without ever saying it out loud. This thread runs quietly through the entire series until regular show, the movie detonates it. The movie aired on November 25, 2015, during the show's 7th season. It involves time travel, because of course it does. A dying future version of Rigby arrives at the park to warn the crew about a time-traveling villain named Mr. Ross, their former science teacher and volleyball coach from high school. The crew has to go back in time to prevent Mr. Ross from using a time tornado to destroy reality. Standard regular show escalation, taken to feature-length proportions. But the movie is not about time travel. The movie is about a lie. There is a moment, late in the film, where Mr. Ross forces Rigby to admit something. Something Rigby has been carrying since before the show even started. The truth is this. Back in high school, both Mordecai and Rigby applied to a school called College U. Mordecai got in. Rigby did not. And Rigby, terrified of being left behind, terrified of losing his best friend, terrified of being the one who was not good enough, did something unforgivable. He forged a rejection letter. He made it look like Mordecai had been rejected too. And Mordecai, believing the letter, never went to college. He stayed. He went to work at the park. He spent years, the years we have been watching, doing a job that was beneath his potential, living a life that was smaller than it needed to be, because his best friend sabotaged him. Say it directly. Rigby destroyed Mordecai's future to avoid being alone. That is not the behavior of a lazy slacker who does not care about anything. That is the behavior of someone so desperately afraid of abandonment that he will burn down someone else's life to prevent it. And the show, by hiding this secret for 6 years, by letting you build your image of Rigby as the harmless screw-up, the lovable mess, the one who is too simple to cause real damage, makes the revelation land like a bomb. Because you realize that Rigby is not simple. Rigby has never been simple. Rigby has been carrying a secret that defines everything about his relationship with Mordecai, everything about his own self-hatred, everything about the gap between who he appears to be and who he actually is. Consider what Mordecai lost: college, career opportunities, a path in life that might have led somewhere different. He ended up at the park because Rigby wanted him there, and the way Rigby ensured it was through deception. Every day they have spent together, every adventure, every mundane afternoon mowing lawns, has been built on a lie. Mordecai's entire adult life is a consequence of Rigby's fear, and Mordecai did not know. For years, in the show and in the audience's experience, nobody knew. The movie forces Rigby to confess, and Mordecai's reaction is devastating. He is furious. He is hurt. He feels betrayed at the deepest possible level. His best friend, the person he trusted more than anyone, stole something from him that he can never get back. Time, potential, choice. Rigby took all of it. But here is where the show does something extraordinary. It does not let the betrayal be the final word. Mordecai is angry. He has every right to be angry, but the movie, and the series after it, does not end the friendship. It does not pretend the betrayal did not happen. It does not minimize it, but it also does not let it be the defining thing. Because friendship, real friendship, the kind that survives, is not built on perfection. It is built on knowing the worst thing about someone and choosing to stay anyway. Mordecai forgives Rigby, not easily, not immediately, but eventually. Because the alternative, a life without Rigby, a life where the betrayal wins, is worse than the betrayal itself. And Rigby, for his part, does not make excuses. He does not explain. He does not try to justify what he did by pointing out that they ended up at the park together and that the park gave them the best years of their lives. He does not say, "It worked out, so it does not matter." Because it does matter. The outcome does not erase the violation. You cannot steal someone's choice and then point to the life they built without that choice and say, "See, it was fine." That is not how trust works. That is not how friendship works. And the movie, by refusing to let Rigby off the hook, by making him sit in the full weight of what he did, demonstrates something that very few animated films aimed at children have the courage to demonstrate. That being sorry is not enough. That forgiveness has to be earned. That the person you hurt gets to decide when and whether to forgive you. And your job is to wait and to change and to prove, through action, not words, that you are worth forgiving. And Rigby, for his part, spends the rest of the series trying to earn that forgiveness. Not through grand gestures, through the slow, unglamorous work of becoming a better person. He goes back to school. He gets his diploma. He stops running from the things that scare him. He grows up, not all at once, but in the way people actually grow up, in small increments, with setbacks, with moments of backsliding, but with a general trajectory that points upward. By the time Rigby graduates in Rigby's Graduation Day Special, the Season 7 finale that aired on June 30th, 2016, he has done something that once seemed impossible. He has become someone worth respecting, not because he is now like Dawn, not because he is now like Mordecai, because he is still Rigby, still messy, still impulsive, still rough around the edges, but now he is a Rigby who finishes things, who shows up, who does the work even when nobody is watching. Rigby's diploma is not a piece of paper. It is proof. Proof that a person can change. Proof that the worst thing you have ever done does not have to be the last thing you ever do. Proof that the people who believe in you, the Eileens and the Mordecais and the Bensons, are not fools for believing. They are seeing something you cannot see yet. They are seeing the person you are becoming, even while you are still the person you were. That character arc, from the slacker who forged a rejection letter to the man who earns his diploma, is the longest and most quietly powerful plot twist in the entire series. It does not happen in one episode. It does not happen in one season. It happens across 7 years of storytelling. And when it lands, when Rigby stands at that podium and gives his graduation speech, it carries the weight of every episode where he failed, every episode where he ran away, every episode where he was the person everyone expected to amount to nothing. The twist is not the graduation. The twist is that the show believed in Rigby long before Rigby believed in himself. And woven through Rigby's growth is another twist, one that happens so gradually that you might not even recognize it as a twist at all. Rigby falls in love with Eileen. Eileen is introduced as Margaret's friend, the quiet mole who works at the coffee shop. She has a crush on Rigby from the start, and the show plays it for comedy. Rigby does not notice her. Rigby does not care. Rigby is too self-absorbed, too immature, too focused on his own problems to see the person standing right in front of him. And Eileen, for her part, does not push. She does not demand attention. She does not make scenes. She is simply there, present, patient, consistent. She shows up, episode after episode, season after season, and she waits. The twist is that she is not waiting. She is building a life. Eileen is getting a degree. Eileen is pursuing interests. Eileen is becoming someone, with or without Rigby. And the show, which could have used her as nothing more than a pining love interest, as a prop in Rigby's story, gives her agency. She does not exist to complete Rigby. She exists as a person. And when Rigby finally notices her, finally sees her for who she actually is, it is not because she changed. It is because he did. He grew enough to see what was already there. The Eileen Plan is the 16th episode of Season 7. It aired in 2015, and it captures this dynamic perfectly. Rigby discovers that Eileen had a life plan she made as a teenager. The plan included marrying someone brilliant. Rigby, who is a high school dropout at this point, who is not brilliant by any academic metric, panics. He decides he needs to go back to school not for himself, but for Eileen, to be worthy of her plan, to fit into the box she drew for her future. And Eileen, when she finds out, tells him something simple. She tells him she likes him for who he is, not who he is trying to be, not the version that fits her teenage fantasy. Him, the actual, real, flawed, trying his best him. This mirrors the Muscle Man and Starla twist perfectly. Two characters who try to become someone else for the person they love, and two partners who say, "Stop, I chose you." the real you. The show keeps telling this story, from different angles, with different characters, because it believes it is one of the most important stories you can tell. You are enough, not the improved version, not the polished version, not the version that looks good on paper. You, and the people who truly love you, are the people who know that. If you are still with me, subscribing is the best way to support more of these. Let us continue. But regular show's twists are not limited to character revelations and relationship dynamics. Some of the show's most effective twists are structural. They change not just what you know about a character, but what you know about the show itself. They rewrite the rules. They shift the genre. They make you realize that the show you thought you were watching is not the show that is actually playing. Just Set Up the Chairs is the second episode regular show ever aired, September 13th, 2010. The title is The Plot. Benson tells Mordecai and Rigby to set up chairs for a birthday party. That is their entire job. Set up chairs. A task so simple that it should take 5 minutes and require zero effort. And the episode follows them as they fail to do it. They get distracted. They find an old arcade machine in the storage room. They start playing it. And the game releases a demon. A pixelated 8-bit monster that rampages through the park and threatens to destroy the birthday party and everyone at it. This is the second episode. This is the moment the show reveals its formula. Mundane task, distraction, escalation, supernatural crisis, resolution. The formula is clean. It is elegant. And it works, over and over, for 8 seasons, because the show never lets the formula become the point. The formula is a container. The characters are the contents. And the twist, the one that Just Set Up the Chairs introduces, and that the show deploys 259 more times, is the escalation itself. The moment where the ordinary becomes impossible. The hinge. What makes regular show's escalation different from every other cartoon that uses the same basic structure is specificity. The escalation is never random. It grows organically from the character's flaws. Mordecai and Rigby do not set up the chairs because they are lazy. The demon appears because they are lazy. The crisis is a direct consequence of who they are. If they were different people, diligent people, responsible people, the demon would have stayed in the arcade machine. The park would have been fine. The birthday party would have happened without incident. The supernatural horror is not something that happens to them. It is something they cause, every single time. That is the show's deepest structural twist. The monsters are not the villains. The characters are. Mordecai and Rigby are the source of almost every crisis in the show. Their laziness, their selfishness, their inability to do the simplest thing without getting distracted is what opens the door to chaos. The show does not have a villain. It has a pair of protagonists who are also the antagonists of their own lives. And the cosmic horrors, the demons and the portals and the time vortexes are just the universe's way of responding to their failures. The universe does not punish them. The universe mirrors them. Their inner chaos becomes outer chaos. Their refusal to take responsibility becomes a physical threat that demands they take responsibility. The show's formula is, in its deepest sense, a metaphor for growing up. Every episode is the universe saying, "Act your age, or I will make you." Consider how the show handles death. Not death as a concept, death as a character. Death, in regular show, is a person. He has a name, he has a face, he has a family. He has a kid named Thomas, who is 300 years old and behaves like a toddler. Death shows up in Dead at 8, the 27th episode of Season 3, which aired on May 28, 2012. In that episode, Muscle Man nearly dies from a waterslide accident, and Death appears to collect his soul. But Death makes a deal. If Mordecai and Rigby can babysit his son and have him asleep by the time Death gets home, Muscle Man lives. If they fail, Death takes Muscle Man's soul. This is a babysitting episode. It is also a hostage negotiation with the personification of mortality. And the show plays both of those things simultaneously, without privileging one over the other. The babysitting is genuinely stressful. Thomas, Death's son, is a demon child who destroys furniture and threatens violence. And the stakes are genuinely cosmic. A man's soul hangs in the balance. The mundane and the mythic sit side by side, and neither one blinks. The twist in Dead at 8 is not the deal itself. The twist is what the deal reveals about the show's cosmology. Death, in regular show, is not a force. He is a bureaucrat. He is a working parent who needs a babysitter. He has domestic concerns. He has a wife who has opinions about childcare. He is, underneath the scythe and the skull and the cosmic authority, a regular guy. And the show, by domesticating death, by making him a character with relatable problems, does something profound. It makes death less terrifying and more familiar. It turns the thing we fear most into a neighbor, someone you can talk to, someone you can negotiate with, someone who will spare your friend's life if you can get his kid to sleep by 8 o'clock. This is not a small thing. This is the show telling you that the universe is not indifferent. It is not hostile. It is occupied by beings who have jobs and families and problems, just like you. The cosmic horrors are not horrors. They are people, and people can be reasoned with. That is regular show's most optimistic idea, and it runs through every episode where a supernatural being turns out to be less scary than they look. The demons are just doing their job. Death is just collecting souls. The guardians of eternal youth are just maintaining order. Nobody is evil. Everybody is just trying to get through the day, even the universe. There is another episode from Season 2 that demonstrates this dynamic perfectly. Grave Sites is the 19th episode of the second season. It aired on May 9, 2011. Mordecai and Rigby decide to host a scary movie night at the park's abandoned cemetery to raise enough money for a paid day off. They set up a projector. They play a zombie movie called Zombocalypse 3D, and Rigby, in a moment of pure Rigby carelessness, knocks the tape out of the projector and puts it back in upside down. The projector fires a bolt of energy into the ground, and the dead people buried in the cemetery come back to life as zombies. The audience at the movie night does not notice. The audience thinks the zombies are part of the three-dimensional experience. The real horror and the fake horror become indistinguishable. And Mordecai, Rigby, Skips, Muscle Man, and High Five Ghost have to fight actual zombies while the movie-watching audience applauds, thinking they are watching the best three-dimensional movie of their lives. The twist in Grave Sites is structural. It is about the gap between what the audience within the show experiences and what the characters within the show experience. The moviegoers see entertainment. The park crew sees mortal danger. Same events, different perspective, different reality. And the show, by running these two experiences simultaneously, makes a point about viewership itself, about what it means to watch something and not realize what you are watching. The audience in the episode is us. We are watching regular show, enjoying the comedy, applauding the entertainment, and we do not always realize that what we are watching is, underneath the humor, genuinely dangerous for the characters inside it. The show is not entertainment for the people living in it. It is life, and life, in regular show, can kill you. Grave Sites ends with the zombies defeated and the audience giving a standing ovation. They think they just saw the best movie ever. They have no idea how close they came to death, and the park crew, exhausted, injured, traumatized, gets their paid day off. That is the deal the show offers its characters and its audience. You get the reward, but the cost is real. The fun is real, but so is the danger. And the line between them is thinner than you think. This brings us to the Christmas special, because regular show's treatment of Christmas contains one of the show's most underappreciated plot twists. The Christmas special is the 9th episode of Season 4. It aired on December 3, 2012, and it features a villain named Quilgan, voiced by Thomas Hayden Church, who was once Santa Claus's lead toy designer. Quilgan spent his life creating a present that would give children whatever they wanted most, a perfect gift, the ultimate expression of Christmas generosity. But the gift was powered by dark magic, and when Santa tested it, people turned evil. Santa ordered Quilgan's work destroyed, and Quilgan, broken by the rejection of his life's work, turned against Christmas entirely. He stole the gift. He stole Santa's sleigh. He tried to use the very thing he created out of love to destroy the holiday that inspired it. The twist in the Christmas special is not the villain's plan. The twist is the villain's motivation. Quilgan is not evil because he hates Christmas. He is evil because he loved Christmas more than anyone, and Christmas rejected him. His gift was too powerful, too dangerous, too much, and the thing he cared about most, the thing he poured his entire existence into, was taken away from him and destroyed. Quilgen is not a villain who wants to burn the world. He is an artist whose art was deemed too dangerous to exist. He is Benson. He is another version of the same story the show tells about Benson with the drums. A passionate person whose passion was punished. A creator whose creation was rejected. And the bitterness that follows, the turn from love to destruction, is not inexplicable. It is inevitable. When you tell someone that the thing they care about most is a threat, they do not stop caring. They start hating. And the hate looks like villainy, but it is really just grief wearing a different mask. The show gives Quilgen a death scene that is surprisingly affecting. He falls into a pit of lava, reaching for the gift he created, the gift that ruined his life, the gift that was supposed to be the ultimate expression of Christmas joy, and instead became the instrument of its destruction. He dies, still reaching, still wanting, still unable to let go of the thing that destroyed him. That image, a hand reaching into fire for something that was always poison, is regular show's most concise visual metaphor for obsession. For the way a passion, when it is thwarted, when it is punished, does not disappear. It curdles. It becomes the only thing you can think about. It becomes the thing you will literally die for. Not because you still love it, but because you cannot imagine yourself without it. Quilgen without his gift is nobody. He chose death over nobody. That is the logical endpoint of defining yourself entirely by your work. And the show, by putting that endpoint in a Christmas special, by framing it with Santa and presents and holiday cheer, makes the darkness hit harder. Because Christmas is supposed to be the time when everything works out. And for Quilgen, it does not. It never did. And the show does not flinch from that. Mordecai and Rigby save Christmas, of course. They use the gift to wish for a flying double skateboard. The wish is absurd. The wish is petty. The wish is exactly what two 23-year-old slackers would wish for if given the power to have anything in the universe. And the show treats it as the right wish. Not because it is wise, because it is sincere. Because Mordecai and Rigby, for all their faults, are honest about what they want. They do not pretend to want world peace or cosmic justice. They want a cool skateboard. And their honesty, their refusal to be anything other than exactly who they are, is what saves Christmas. The show is saying, again, what it always says: be yourself. Even if yourself is stupid, even if yourself is petty, even if yourself would use a magical wish on a skateboard. Because the alternative, being someone you are not, is what creates villains. Quilgen was not himself. He was what Christmas wanted him to be. And when Christmas rejected him, he had nothing left. Mordecai and Rigby will always have something left, because they are always themselves. That is their superpower. Not magic, not strength, authenticity. Regular show does not have many outright evil characters. Most of its villains are people who were hurt and responded badly. Garrett Bobby Ferguson was a man whose high score was beaten by two slackers, and his son's revenge plot in Exit 9B is, at its core, a story about a child trying to honor his father's legacy. The guardian of the friend zone is a cosmic being doing his job, enforcing rules that exist for a reason. Even Mr. Ross, the villain of the movie, is a rejected teacher with a grudge. The show keeps telling you that the distance between a villain and a hero is not a matter of character. It is a matter of what happened to them. And the twist, repeated across dozens of episodes, is that the villain's story is always sadder than it looks. There is a specific kind of twist that regular show uses more effectively than almost any other animated show. It is the twist that changes not what is happening, but how you feel about what is happening. The events stay the same, the characters stay the same, but the emotional register shifts, and suddenly the scene you thought was one thing becomes something entirely different. The Baby Ducks arc is the purest expression of this. It starts in Season 2, in an episode called A Bunch of Baby Ducks, which aired on March 28, 2011. Mordecai and Rigby are cleaning a fountain when they discover a group of baby ducks living in it. The ducks are cute. They are small and yellow, and they follow Mordecai and Rigby around and they say, "Step off," in high-pitched voices. It is adorable. It is a gag. It is the kind of thing you expect to see in a single episode and never again. And then the baby ducks merge into a giant humanoid duck warrior to fight a villain. The show takes 4 tiny, cute, harmless baby ducks and transforms them into a massive, powerful, cosmic fighting machine. The escalation is absurd, even by regular show standards. But the show commits to it completely. The baby ducks become recurring characters. They return in Season 3, in Season 5, in the brilliant Century Duck Crisis special that aired on April 9, 2015, which is a full half-hour special where the baby ducks, now called Hyperduck, engage in a mecha battle on the moon that splits it in half. A battle on the moon that splits it in half, involving ducks. The twist is not the escalation. The twist is the emotional continuity underneath the escalation. The baby ducks love Mordecai and Rigby. They love them with a simple, uncomplicated, absolute devotion that never wavers. They see Mordecai and Rigby as their mother figure, not as a joke, as a genuine emotional bond. The ducks merge into a warrior not because they are warriors, but because they want to protect the people they love. Their power comes from love. That is corny. That is sentimental. And the show earns it, because it never winks at it, because it never undercuts the sincerity, because it lets the baby ducks be genuinely devoted without making fun of that devotion. The baby ducks arc is regular show's proof that sincerity is not a weakness. In a show built on irony, on absurdist humor, on the tension between the mundane and the insane, the baby ducks are the one element that is played completely straight. They love. They fight for what they love. They never question it. And the show rewards that sincerity every single time, giving the ducks bigger battles, bigger powers, bigger roles, as if to say, the characters who are honest about their feelings are the ones who become the most powerful, the ones who pretend not to care, who hide behind irony, who are afraid to be sincere. Those characters stay the same. Mordecai spends 8 seasons struggling to say how he feels. The baby ducks say it immediately, without hesitation, without fear. And the baby ducks save the world. Follow that thread as a message to regular show's audience, which is primarily young men in their teens and 20s. The show is telling them, through 4 cartoon ducks, that vulnerability is strength, that caring openly is not something to be embarrassed about, that the people who are honest about their love, who do not try to be cool, who do not perform indifference, are the ones who matter. That is not a small twist. That is a worldview, and the show smuggles it in through baby ducks because it knows its audience would resist it if it came from anywhere else. Let us talk about the show's relationship with time, because regular show, across its entire run, is obsessed with time. Time travel, time loops, the passage of time, the impossibility of going back, the fear of moving forward. Time is the show's central metaphor, more than any individual character arc or plot twist. And the way the show uses time reveals its deepest anxieties. Prank Callers is the 9th episode of Season 1. It aired on November 1st, 2010, and it sends Mordecai and Rigby back to 1982. They are trying to prank call a legendary prankster called the Master Prank Caller, and the call goes wrong, and they end up in the past. The episode is played for comedy. The 80s are colorful and absurd. There is a chase through different time periods. The whole thing resolves neatly, but underneath the comedy, the show is establishing something. Time is breakable in this world. It is not a river, it is a window. And if you push hard enough, the window cracks, and you fall through. Bad Kiss uses a $15 time machine. Its Time uses a microwave in a time vortex. The movie uses a time ship. Season 8 uses space travel as a form of temporal displacement, with the crew spending years away from Earth. The show returns to time travel again and again and again, not because it is a convenient plot device, but because the show is fundamentally about the desire to go back, to fix things, to undo the mistakes, to have one more chance at the moment you ruined. Mordecai goes back in time to fix a bad kiss. Rigby's secret involves forging a letter that changed the past. Skips lives forever, trapped in an eternal present, unable to return to the moment he lost Mona. Pops fights the same battle across infinite cycles of time. Every major character in regular show has a broken relationship with time. Every one of them wishes, at some point, that they could go back and do things differently. And the show's consistent message, delivered through every time travel episode and every temporal crisis, is that you cannot. You cannot go back. You can only go forward. The past is a place you visit, not a place you live. And the only twist that matters, the only one that actually changes things, is the decision to stop looking backward and start moving ahead. Rigby's graduation is the culmination of that message. He cannot undo the forged letter. He cannot give Mordecai back the years he took. He cannot become Don. He cannot rewrite his past. But he can graduate. He can earn his diploma. He can become someone who finishes things. The show does not let him fix his mistakes. It lets him outgrow them. And that, the show argues, is the only kind of time travel that actually works. Now let us return to the show's final season, because Season 8 contains twists that are, in many ways, the show's most ambitious and most divisive. When the park launches into space at the end of Season 7, regular show becomes a different show. Literally, the title card changes. It reads, Regular Show in Space. The setting changes from a park to a spacecraft hurtling through the cosmos. The tone shifts from episodic comedy to serialized drama, and the characters, who have spent 7 seasons in a comfortable, familiar world, are suddenly adrift in every sense of the word. Season 8 premiered on September 26, 2016, and from the very first episode, the stakes are different. The crew is in space. They cannot go home. They have to find a way to survive in an environment that is hostile to everything they know. And slowly, episode by episode, they learn the truth. The park was always meant to go to space. Mr. Mellard planned this. The dome was part of the plan. Everything, from the dome experiment to the launch button, was orchestrated to bring Pops to his destiny. The twist of Season 8 is that the entire show has been a prequel. 7 seasons of park adventures, of mowing lawns and setting up chairs and dealing with demons, were all prologue. The real story, the one the show has been building toward, begins when the park leaves Earth. Everything before was preparation. Everything before was the calm before the storm. And the storm, when it arrives, is cosmic in scale. The Ice Tape is an episode in Season 8 where Pops and the crew discover the truth about his origin. They learn that Mr. Maillard found Pops as a baby on an asteroid. They learn that Pops is from Lollyland. They learn that Mr. Maillard is not his biological father but his adoptive father, a man who found an alien child and raised him as his own, knowing that one day that child would have to face a destiny that could end the universe. And Mr. Maillard tells Pops, with a sincerity that cuts through every other moment in the series, that no matter what, he always thought of Pops as his real son. That scene, that one scene, a father telling his son that biology does not matter, that the years they shared, the meals they ate, the birthdays they celebrated, the ordinary life they lived together, that is what makes someone family. Not blood, not species, not even the same planet of origin. Love, time, presence. Mr. Maillard, who has spent the entire series being dismissive of Pops, being curt with him, being the distant, difficult, emotionally unavailable father figure, reveals in this moment that every harsh word, every cold shoulder, every apparent indifference was a mask. He was protecting Pops. He was keeping him safe. He was hiding the biggest secret in the universe inside the most ordinary-looking life imaginable. And the mask, the coldness, the distance, was the price of that protection. The show is telling you something about Mr. Maillard that none of his previous appearances ever did. It is telling you that the angry, dismissive boss who owns the park is actually a man who crossed the cosmos, found a child, and dedicated his entire life to keeping that child alive and safe. His harshness was not cruelty. It was the calcified surface of a love so vast that expressing it would have been dangerous. Because if Pops knew who he was, if he understood his destiny too early, he would have been found. He would have been taken. The only way to protect the most powerful being in the universe was to hide him in the most powerless-seeming life possible. A park, a job mowing lawns, a life of butterflies and lollipops and blissful, beautiful ignorance. Mr. Maillard did not keep Pops in the dark because he did not respect him. He kept Pops in the dark because the light was lethal. That is a reframe that changes everything about the show's power structure. The owner of the park is not a rich man playing at management. He is a guardian, a protector, a man who built an entire institution, hired an entire staff, created an entire world, for the sole purpose of keeping one person safe. The park is not a workplace. It is a fortress. And every character who works there, from Benson to Skips to Mordecai and Rigby, is, whether they know it or not, a soldier in Pops's army, an unwitting guardian of the most important being in existence. That is the kind of twist that recasts every single episode of the show. Every time Benson yells at Mordecai and Rigby for not doing their jobs, he is, without knowing it, maintaining the cover that keeps Pops safe. Every time Skips fixes a problem, he is, without knowing it, preventing the kind of chaos that might attract cosmic attention. Every time the crew deals with a supernatural crisis and restores the park to normal, they are, without knowing it, keeping the disguise intact. The ordinary life of the park is the disguise, and the disguise only works if everyone acts like it is real, which they do, because for them it is real. They do not know they are protecting a god. They think they are mowing lawns. The gap between what the characters think they are doing and what they are actually doing is the biggest gap in the entire series. And the show, by never closing that gap until the final season, by letting 7 years of episodes exist in the space between the mundane surface and the cosmic truth, achieves something that very few shows, animated or otherwise, have ever managed. It makes the rewatch better than the first watch. Because when you go back to the power, when you go back to just set up the chairs, when you go back to any episode from any season, you know something the characters do not. You know that the park is a sanctuary. You know that Pops is a god. You know that every ordinary day is a gift, a reprieve, a moment of peace in a cosmic war that has been raging since before time began. And that knowledge transforms every scene. The comedy is still funny, the jokes still land, but underneath the laughter, there is weight, there is purpose. There is the quiet understanding that these characters are living in borrowed time, and they do not know it, and that makes the time more precious, not less. There is something that needs to be said about how regular show handles the gap between its early seasons and its later ones, because that gap is, in itself, a kind of twist. A twist that happens not within the narrative, but within the audience's experience of the narrative. Regular show season 1 has 12 episodes. They are short, mostly standalone, mostly comedic. The show is finding its voice. The characters are sketches, not yet fully realized people. The humor is absurdist. The escalation is playful, and the consequences are minimal. If you watched only season 1, you would think regular show was a fun, weird, inconsequential cartoon about two dudes at a park, and you would not be wrong. That is what it is, in season 1. Season 2 has 28 episodes. The characters begin to deepen. Mordecai's feelings for Margaret become a real subplot. Rigby's insecurities start to surface. Benson's anger begins to hint at something underneath. The show is still episodic, still comedic, still built on the escalation formula, but the edges are getting sharper. Its time happens. Over the top happens. Death becomes a character. The show is testing its limits, seeing how far it can push the comedy before it becomes something else. Season 3 has 39 episodes. It aired from September 19, 2011 to September 3, 2012. This is where the show hits its stride. Excellent wins an Emmy. Bad Kiss pushes the Mordecai and Margaret dynamic to its breaking point. Stick Hockey reveals Benson's backstory. Dead at 8 domesticates death. The show is confident now. It knows what it is. It knows what it can do. And it starts doing things that no one expected from a Cartoon Network comedy. Season 4, 37 episodes, airing from October 1, 2012 to August 12, 2013, brings the continuity revolution. Exit 9B proves the show has memory. Meteor Moves literalizes the friend zone. 150-piece kit deepens Benson, and Stake Me Amadeus breaks Mordecai's heart in front of everyone. The show is no longer just a comedy. It is a comedy that can devastate you. And it does, whenever it wants to, without warning, without apology. Seasons 5 and 6 refine this approach. Seasons 5, 37 episodes, premiered September 2, 2013. Season 6, 28 episodes, premiered October 9, 2014. These seasons bring CJ into the picture, introduce and resolve the love triangle, reveal Skips' backstory, expose Thomas as a spy, give Muscle Man a wedding, and start building the structures that will launch the show into its final act. The dome appears. The serialization increases. The episodes start connecting to each other in ways that reward close attention. Season 7, 36 episodes, originally aired from June 26, 2015 to June 30th, 2016. This is the transition season. Rigby goes back to school. Rigby and Eileen solidify their relationship. The dome experiment traps the crew. The movie reveals Rigby's secret, and the finale sends everyone to space. By the end of season 7, regular show has fully transformed from an episodic comedy into a serialized epic. And the transformation happened so gradually, across so many seasons, that the audience barely noticed it happening. That is the structural twist. The show changed its own DNA, one episode at a time, over 7 years, and by the time anyone realized what was happening, it was already done. Season 8, the final season, has 27 episodes. It premiered on September 26, 2016, and its final episode aired on January 16, 2017. It is the show at its most ambitious and its most polarizing. Some fans loved the space setting. Some missed the park. Some thought the pop's revelation was brilliant. Some thought it was too big for a show that worked best when it was small. And all of those reactions are valid, because they are all responses to the same fundamental tension. Regular show started as a show about two guys at a park, and it ended as a show about the fate of the universe. That is a long journey. That is a big swing. And whether you think the show stuck the landing depends entirely on whether you believe that the small story and the big story are the same story. But before we arrive at that ending, there are twists woven into the fabric of the show that deserve their own attention. Twists that are not about big reveals or character transformations, but about the way the show plays with genre itself. Because regular show is not one show. It is several shows wearing the same skin. And the moments where the skin slips, where you catch a glimpse of the other shows hiding underneath, are some of the most effective twists in the entire run. Hello Governor is the first episode of Season 2. It aired on November 29, 2010, and it is, without qualification, a horror episode. Mordecai and Rigby rent a cheesy British horror movie about a possessed taxi. They watch it. Mordecai finds it ridiculous. Rigby is terrified. And the terror does not go away. Rigby cannot sleep. He has nightmares. He sees the taxi everywhere. He flinches at sounds. He jumps at shadows. The episode takes a silly premise, a haunted car from a bad movie, and builds a genuine portrait of anxiety. Not cartoon anxiety. Real anxiety. The kind that follows you into your bed. The kind that makes you see threats in every corner. The kind that makes you see threats in every corner. The kind that makes you see threats in every corner. The kind that makes you see threats in every corner. The kind that makes you see threats in every corner. That does not respond to reason. The twist in Hello Governor is not the resolution, which involves the taxi manifesting in reality and being destroyed. The twist is the emotional accuracy of Rigby's fear. The show does not make fun of him for being scared. It does not present his terror as a character flaw to be corrected. It takes his fear seriously. It shows you what it looks like from the inside. The racing thoughts. The inability to distinguish between real threats and imagined ones. The way fear compounds itself, feeding on its own energy until everything becomes a source of panic. Rigby is not being irrational. He is experiencing what every anxious person experiences. The world is too much. The signals are too loud, and there is no off switch. Regular show does this more than people realize. It takes emotional states that are difficult to articulate, states like anxiety, jealousy, grief, loneliness, inadequacy, and it externalizes them as supernatural events. Rigby's anxiety becomes a literal haunted taxi. Mordecai's jealousy becomes a literal time vortex. Skip's grief becomes a literal immortality curse. Benson's frustration becomes a literal gumball explosion. The supernatural is the vocabulary the show uses to describe interior experiences. And because the vocabulary is fantastical, because it is dressed up in cartoon logic and absurdist humor, it bypasses the audience's defenses. You do not realize you are watching a story about anxiety until after it has already made you feel anxious. You do not realize you are watching a story about jealousy until after you have already felt the jealousy in your chest. The show talks about real things by pretending to talk about fake things. And that pretense is the most important twist of all. Terror Tales of the Park takes this approach and makes it structural. Starting in Season 3, the show began producing annual Halloween specials in the format of anthology episodes, inspired by The Simpsons' Treehouse of Horror. Each Terror Tales episode features the park crew telling scary stories, 3 per episode, in a campfire-style format. The stories exist outside of canon. Characters can die permanently. Rules can be broken. Anything can happen, because the anthology format grants the show a kind of creative immunity. It is all just stories within the story. But the twist of the Terror Tales episodes is not the stories themselves. It is what the stories reveal about the characters who tell them. Mordecai's stories are about losing the people he cares about. Rigby's stories are about being small and powerless. Muscle Man's stories are about his insecurities about death and legacy. The horror each character creates in their fiction is a mirror of the horror they carry in their reality. They tell ghost stories, but the ghosts are their own fears. The show does not comment on this. It does not have a character say, "Wow, your story really reveals your inner anxieties." It just lets the pattern exist. And if you notice it, if you see the connection between the fiction each character creates and the reality each character endures, the Terror Tales episodes transform from fun Halloween specials into psychological profiles, each one a window into a character's subconscious. The first, Terror Tales of the Park, aired on October 10th, 2011. It featured 3 segments. Creepy Doll is about a doll named Percy who wants revenge on Pops for being abandoned. Death Metal Crash Pit is about Muscle Man and High Five Ghost discovering a haunted RV occupied by an 80s death metal band. In the House is about Rigby being cursed by a wizard whose house he egged on Halloween night. Each segment is self-contained. Each segment is fun. And each segment, underneath the fun, is about abandonment, about being forgotten, about the things that happen when you discard something or someone and expect them to stay discarded. The doll was abandoned. The death metal band was left behind by history. The wizard was violated in his own home. The Terror Tales format lets the show tell stories about abandonment without ever calling them that. And the audience absorbs the emotional content without ever being asked to sit with it consciously. It just settles, like a ghost story told around a fire. You feel it more than you understand it. There is a character in regular show who gets less attention than almost anyone else on the show, and whose arc contains one of the show's gentlest, most quietly devastating twists. High Five Ghost. High Five Ghost is a ghost. He is shaped like a hand. His best friend is Muscle Man. He barely speaks for the first several seasons. He exists primarily to receive Muscle Man's high fives and to stand in the background of group shots. If you made a list of regular show characters ranked by narrative importance, High Five Ghost would be near the bottom. He is wallpaper. He is furniture. He is a character who seems to exist because every group needs someone who stands in the back and nods. And then the show gives him a love story. The Postcard is the 17th episode of Season 5. In it, High Five Ghost receives a postcard from a woman named Celia. 4 years earlier, they met at a cafe. They talked. They connected. And when evening comes, Celia told him she was leaving for Prague to continue her studies. They made a pact. If, in 4 years, they were both still single, they would pick up where they left off. The only way to stay in contact was postcards. No phones, no internet, just paper and stamps and waiting. The postcard arrives, and High Five Ghost cannot read it. The handwriting is smudged, or the message is cryptic, or both. He spends the entire episode trying to decode it. He goes on a walk through the show's typically escalating series of obstacles, trying to find someone or something that can tell him what Celia wrote. And at the end, after giving up, after accepting that he might never know what the postcard said, he walks into the cafe where they first met. And she is there. Celia is there. She came back. She is still single. The 4 years are up, and she kept the promise. And they hold hands. And that is the end of the episode. Sit with what the show just did. It took its most invisible character, the one nobody was paying attention to, the one who had been standing in the background for 5 seasons, and it gave him the most romantic moment in the entire series. Not Mordecai, who spent 5 seasons chasing love and failing. Not Rigby, who spent 5 seasons ignoring love and stumbling into it. High Five Ghost, the ghost shaped like a hand, The show's least important character received the show's most important love story. And the love story works because of its simplicity. There is no drama, no love triangle, no jealousy, no betrayal. Just two people who met once, who liked each other, who made a promise, and who kept it. 4 years, across continents, through postcards, with no guarantee that the other person was still waiting. And both of them waited. Both of them kept faith. Both of them showed up at the cafe when the time was right. The twist is not that High Five Ghost finds love. The twist is what kind of love the show chooses to give him. Every other romance in regular show is complicated. Mordecai's loves are agonizing. Rigby's love requires growth. Muscle Man's love requires self-acceptance. But High Five Ghost's love is simple, pure, uncomplicated. Two people who said yes to each other and never wavered. The show, which has spent seasons showing you all the ways love can go wrong, gives its quietest character a love that goes right. Without qualification, without complication, without a single twist or reversal. The twist is the absence of a twist. In a show where everything escalates, where every good thing turns into a crisis, High Five Ghost's love story is the one thing that stays exactly what it is. Small, quiet, perfect. And in the series finale, we learn that High Five Ghost and Celia get married. They become famous DJs. They have a son. The character who was wallpaper for 8 seasons gets a future that is full and happy and complete. The show's gentlest message, delivered through its gentlest character. Sometimes the people who are quiet about their love are the ones who love the deepest. Sometimes the background characters have the best story. You just have to look. This connects to something larger about how regular show uses its ensemble. The show has a main cast of 7: Mordecai, Rigby, Benson, Skips, Pops, Muscle Man, and High Five Ghost. And J.G. Quintel, who voiced both Mordecai and High Five Ghost, made a deliberate choice about how to distribute the show's emotional weight across that ensemble. The early seasons focus almost entirely on Mordecai and Rigby. They are the center. Everything revolves around them. But as the show progresses, the center shifts. It expands. It makes room. By season 6, Muscle Man has had episodes that rival anything in Mordecai's arc. By season 7, Rigby's growth has eclipsed Mordecai's stagnation. By season 8, Pops, the character who started as comic relief, has become the soul of the entire show. The twist is the redistribution. The show starts as a buddy comedy and ends as an ensemble drama, and the transition is so gradual, so organic, that you do not notice it happening. You do not wake up one morning and think, this show is now about Pops. It just is, one day, about Pops. And you accept it, because the show earned it. Episode by episode, season by season, one small shift at a time. Weekend at Benson's captures this redistribution in miniature. It is the 12th episode of season 3. It aired on January 16, 2012. The premise is a riff on the 1989 movie Weekend at Bernie's. Mordecai and Rigby accidentally knock Benson unconscious and have to pretend he is awake while they take him to a party at his neighbor Audrey's apartment. They are trying to help Benson impress Audrey, and along the way, they encounter Audrey's ex-boyfriend Chuck, a man called the Iron Stomach, who challenges Benson to a spicy food contest. The contest ends with all 3 of them drinking something called the Mississippi Queen, a hallucinogenic concoction that sends them on a psychedelic trip set to the mountain song of the same name. The animation shifts, the colors explode. Reality dissolves into a kaleidoscope of shapes and sounds and feelings. It is one of the most visually ambitious sequences in the show's history, and it lasts for a full musical number. The show takes a sitcom premise, a party, a contest, a rivalry, and elevates it into a genuine artistic experience. The Mississippi Queen sequence is not a gag, it is art. It is the show flexing muscles that nobody knew it had, proving that a Cartoon Network comedy can produce animation that is as ambitious and as visually stunning as anything on Adult Swim or in an independent film. But the twist of the episode is not the psychedelic sequence. The twist is what the episode reveals about Benson. Throughout the show, Benson is angry. Benson is stressed. Benson is a pressure cooker that could explode at any moment. But Weekend at Benson's shows you what Benson is like when someone cares about him. Audrey likes Benson. She is interested in him. She thinks he is funny. And Benson, in the presence of someone who sees him positively, who does not view him as an obstacle or an authority figure or a source of stress, becomes a different person. He loosens up, he smiles, he lets his guard down. The angry gumball machine softens, and underneath the anger, you see someone who is lonely. Someone who goes home to an empty apartment every night. Someone who has poured everything into a job that nobody respects and has nothing left for himself. Benson does not end up with Audrey. Their relationship does not last. But the episode gives you a glimpse of the person Benson could be if the world were kinder to him. If someone, anyone, would just look at him and see something other than the guy who yells. That glimpse is a twist, because it changes your relationship with a character you thought you understood. You thought Benson was angry. He is not. He is sad. The anger is just what sadness looks like when it has nowhere to go. We are almost at the end now, but if you have not subscribed yet, it really does make a difference. There is one more dimension of regular show's twists that deserves attention before we reach the end. The show's relationship with nostalgia. Because regular show is, in many ways, a show about looking backward. And the twist is that it knows looking backward is a trap. The show is saturated with references to the 1980s and 1990s. VHS tapes, arcade machines, hair metal bands, cassette decks, muscle cars. The aesthetic of regular show is deliberately retro. The park has no smartphones. The characters watch movies on tapes. The technology is analog. The music is classic rock and synth pop. The show looks and sounds like a world that existed 30 years before its actual air date. This is not an accident. J.G. Quintel built this nostalgia into the show's DNA. The CalArts shorts that preceded regular show, The Naive Man from Lollyland, and Two in the AM/PM, both draw from the same retro well. The show's sensibility is rooted in the culture that Quintel grew up with, and it presents that culture with genuine affection. The 80s are not mocked in regular show. They are celebrated. The hair metal is played unironically. The arcade games are treated with reverence. The VHS tapes are treasured artifacts. The show loves the past. But here is the twist. The show also knows that loving the past can be a form of avoidance. Mordecai and Rigby live in a world of old technology and outdated entertainment, and they also live in a state of arrested development. They are 23 years old, and they have not moved past their teenage years. They still play video games all day. They still watch movies instead of working. They still relate to each other the way they did in high school. And the show's retro aesthetic, the VHS tapes and the arcade machines, is a visual representation of their psychological state. They are clinging to the past because the future terrifies them. Every time Mordecai fails to move forward with Margaret, he is choosing nostalgia over growth. Every time Rigby avoids responsibility, he is choosing the comfortable past over the uncomfortable present. Every time the characters retreat to the couch to watch a movie instead of dealing with their problems, they are performing the same act of avoidance that the show's aesthetic represents. The old technology is not charming, it is a symptom. And the show, which loves that technology, which bathes in its warm glow, also recognizes that it is a cage. Prank Callers sends Mordecai and Rigby back to 1982, and the 1980s are depicted as a wonderland. Everything is bright, everything is fun, everything is free of consequence. But they cannot stay there. They have to come back. They have to return to the present, with all its responsibilities and complications and demands. The past is a place you visit, not a place you live. And the show, episode after episode, drags its characters out of the past and into the present, kicking and screaming. Rigby's arc is the clearest expression of this. He starts the show as a dropout, a person who literally abandoned his education, who stopped progressing at the age of 17. And his growth, across 7 seasons, is the story of someone who stops looking backward and starts moving forward. He goes back to school. He earns his diploma. He builds a relationship with Eileen. He becomes someone with a future, not just a past. And the show celebrates this growth not because education is inherently valuable, but because forward motion is. Rigby stops being stuck. He stops clinging to the comfortable, familiar, retro world of his adolescence. He grows up. And Mordecai, notably, takes longer. Mordecai is the character who most embodies the show's nostalgic trap. He pines for Margaret the way a teenager pines, with grand gestures and public declarations, and an inability to simply talk to her like an adult. He relates to CJ through the lens of his feelings for Margaret, unable to fully commit because he is still comparing the present to the past. He makes speeches about his confusion at other people's weddings, centering himself, because he has not yet learned that the world does not revolve around his emotional state. Mordecai, for most of the series, is stuck, and the show does not rescue him. It lets him be stuck. It lets him make mistakes. It lets him hurt people. The final twist of Mordecai's arc is that he does not end up with Margaret or CJ. He ends up with Steph, a bat we have never met, someone who exists entirely outside the show's narrative. And this is not a failure of storytelling. It is the point. Mordecai's great love was not in his past. It was in his future, a future the show does not even bother to dramatize, because by the time Mordecai is ready for that love, the show is over. He had to become someone new first, someone who was not defined by his failures with Margaret or his cruelty towards CJ. Someone who had outgrown the park, the couch, the VHS tapes, the comfortable world of arrested adolescence. And that person, the grown-up Mordecai, the one who picks up a paintbrush and becomes an artist, is someone the show only shows you in a montage, because the becoming is the story. The arrival is just the epilogue, and Mordecai becoming an artist in the finale montage is itself a twist that deserves more attention. Throughout the series, Mordecai's creative side is hinted at, but never foregrounded. He went to art school, briefly. He has talents that have nothing to do with park maintenance, but the show never makes a big deal of it. It files it away. And then, in the montage, when the show finally reveals what Mordecai does with the rest of his life, it brings it back. He paints. He creates. He finds the thing he was always supposed to do, the thing that was waiting for him on the other side of all the heartbreak and the indecision and the years of mowing lawns instead of pursuing his potential. The twist is that Mordecai's time at the park was not wasted. It was necessary. He needed those years. He needed the failures. He needed the Margaret heartbreak and the CJ disaster and the public embarrassment at Muscle Man's wedding. He needed to be terrible at relationships before he could be good at one. He needed to be a slacker before he could be an artist. The park was not a detour. It was the path. Every boring day, every supernatural crisis, every time Benson screamed at him to do his job, was shaping him into the person he would eventually become. And that person, the one who paints, the one who marries Steph, the one who raises children and grows old and comes back to the park 25 years later, is someone who could not have existed without the regular show, without the chaos, without the twists. The show is telling you that your boring job matters, that the years you spend doing something that seems pointless are not pointless, that the relationships you fail at are teaching you something, that the person you are at 23, the confused, selfish, cowardly person who cannot set up chairs without summoning a demon, is not the person you will be at 45. You are becoming, every day, every mistake, every twist. And the person you are becoming is someone you cannot see yet, someone you cannot imagine yet, someone who will look back at the park and understand that everything that happened there, even the parts that hurt, especially the parts that hurt, was exactly what you needed. That is the show's deepest twist on nostalgia. It loves the past. It revels in it. It dresses its characters in it and plays 80s music over its scenes and fills its world with the artifacts of a bygone era. And then it says, let it go. The past is not where you live. The people who matter are the ones who are standing in front of you right now, not the ones you lost. The future is frightening, yes. Growing up is painful, yes. But the alternative is Mordecai on the couch, watching another movie, waiting for life to happen to him. And the show has spent 8 seasons proving that life does not wait. It comes for you, through the walls, through the ceiling, in the form of demons and portals, and cosmic wars, and magical keyboards. Life breaks into your room and demands that you participate. And the people who survive, the people who end up with statues in their honor, and families around their table, and love stories that began in a cafe 4 years ago, are the people who said yes. Regular show said yes to everything, to absurdity, to sincerity, to horror and comedy and romance and tragedy, all in the same episode, sometimes in the same scene. It said yes to a talking gumball machine who used to be a rock star. It said yes to a ghost shaped like a hand who finds love through postcards. It said yes to a raccoon who forged a rejection letter and spent 7 years earning forgiveness. It said yes to a lollipop man who turned out to be a god. The show's entire aesthetic, its entire philosophy, its entire 8-season run was a sustained act of saying yes to things that should not work and making them work anyway. That is the final plot twist, not something that happens in an episode, something that happens in the space between the audience and the screen. You start watching regular show because it looks fun, because it is weird, because your friend told you about it, or you caught an episode at 2 in the morning, or you saw a clip online and thought, this looks insane. And then, somewhere along the way, without your permission, the show stops being fun and starts being important. It stops being weird and starts being true. The twist is that the show you thought was background noise, the show you put on while you scrolled your phone, the show you half-watched and barely remembered, was quietly building one of the most thoughtful, most emotionally intelligent, most structurally ambitious narratives in animation history. And you missed it. Not because you were not paying attention, because the show hid it from you, on purpose. Inside baby ducks and hair metal references and my mom jokes. The show buried its best work in plain sight and trusted that someone, eventually, would dig it up. You are here, you dug it up, and now you know. And there is a comfort in knowing. There is a comfort in understanding that the show you loved as a kid, the show you watched on lazy afternoons and late nights and sick days home from school, was more than you thought it was. That it respected you enough to hide its best ideas in places you would have to grow to reach. That it planted seeds in you at 12 years old that would not bloom until you were 25, sitting in a different room, in a different life, rewatching an episode you have seen before, and suddenly seeing what was always there. Regular show is a show that trusts time. It trusts that the right idea, given enough time, will find the right person. That the joke you laughed at in 2010 will make you cry in 2026. That the cartoon you watched because you were bored will become the thing you turn to when you cannot sleep. Not because it is boring, but because it is safe. Because it is familiar. Because it sounds like a friend talking to you in the dark about something that matters. That is why you are here right now, is it not? Listening to this. Lying in bed, maybe. Eyes closed, maybe. Drifting. And the voice in your headphones is talking about a cartoon. And the cartoon is about a park. And the park is about everything. And you are falling asleep to it, which means you trust it, which means the show did its job. It made you feel safe enough to let go, to stop thinking, to stop worrying about the things you cannot control, to let a story about a blue jay and a raccoon and a lollipop man carry you somewhere quiet. Regular show ran for 261 episodes across 8 seasons. It introduced you to characters who felt like friends, and then showed you those friends had secrets. It took the most ordinary setting in the world and turned it into the most important place in the universe. It taught you, through baby ducks and time machines and immortal yetis, that the people you overlook are often the people who matter most. That growing up is not about becoming someone new. It is about finally becoming who you always were. That love is not about grand gestures. It is about showing up. Day after day, in the park, at the job, beside the person who chose you, even when it is boring, especially when it is boring, because the boring days are the ones you miss most when they are gone. Every plot twist in regular show points to the same truth. The surface is never the whole story. There is always something underneath, something waiting to be found, something that changes the meaning of everything you thought you knew. And the beauty of the show, the thing that makes it worth rewatching, worth analyzing, worth falling asleep to on a quiet night, is that it never stops revealing. Every rewatch shows you something new. Every analysis uncovers another layer. The show is not finished with you just because the credits rolled. It is still working, still twisting, still showing you things about yourself that you did not know you needed to see. Pops would want you to know that. Pops, who saw the best in everyone, who believed in kindness when the universe gave him every reason not to, who hugged his brother on the way into the sun. Pops would want you to know that the twists are not the point. The point is the people between the twists. The quiet moments, the shared lunches, the arguments that end in laughter, the days when nothing supernatural happens at all, when the lawn gets mowed and the chairs get set up and everyone goes home when evening comes, tired and annoyed and alive. Those are the days that matter. Those are the days worth saving. Those are the days that a lollipop man died to protect. The show believes they are. And the reason it believes they are goes back to the very first episode and the very first twist. Consider something that gets lost in all the analysis of characters and revelations and cosmic battles. Regular show is a show about work, about a job, about going to a place every day and doing tasks that are often boring and sometimes pointless and always necessary. The park is a workplace. Mordecai and Rigby are employees. Benson is their manager. The show's central daily conflict is not good versus evil. It is labor versus laziness. Set up the chairs, mow the lawn, fix the fountain, take out the trash. These are the tasks that drive the show. These are the starting points for every episode. And the twist, the one that the show deploys over and over and over until it becomes invisible, is that the work matters. Not because the work is important in itself. Nobody cares whether the chairs get set up. Nobody is tracking whether the lawn gets mowed. The work matters because it is the structure that holds everything else together. The park is not just a workplace. It is a community, a family, a home, and the daily work of maintaining it, the tedious, unglamorous, often thankless work of showing up and doing the thing, is what keeps that community alive. Every time Mordecai and Rigby refuse to work, the world falls apart. Every time they avoid their responsibilities, demons emerge. The show is not subtle about this. It is telling you, in the clearest possible terms, that the work of living, the daily maintenance of your relationships and your environment and your commitments, is what keeps the chaos at bay. Stop doing the work, and the chaos comes. That is not a message you expect from a show that is, on its surface, about slackers. The show sympathizes with Mordecai and Rigby. It understands why they do not want to set up chairs. It understands the appeal of the couch, the video game, the movie marathon. It does not moralize. It does not lecture. But it shows you, episode after episode, what happens when the work does not get done. And the consequences are always worse than the work itself. The demon that emerges from the arcade machine is worse than setting up chairs. The time vortex that swallows Rigby is worse than going to the zombie movie like he promised. The cosmic war that threatens the universe is worse than whatever small task Benson assigned that morning. The show keeps saying, do the work. Not because the work is fun, because the alternative is worse. And the park crew, by the end, has done the work. All of it. The small work and the cosmic work. The chairs and the universe. And they have earned the future the show gives them. Not because they are heroes, because they showed up, every day, even when they did not want to, even when they complained, even when they tried to avoid it and failed. They showed up. And the show, in its final twist, reveals that showing up was the heroism all along. The show insists, in its final episodes, that the reason the universe is worth saving is not because of cosmic principle or metaphysical balance. It is because Mordecai and Rigby need a place to work. Because Eileen and Rigby need a place to fall in love. Because Muscle Man needs a place to raise his family. Because Benson needs a place to manage. Because Skips needs a place to carry his grief. The universe is worth saving because ordinary life is worth having. That is the thesis. That is the argument. And the show makes it by starting with the ordinary and ending with the cosmic, so that by the time you reach the end, you understand that they were always the same thing. There is something else worth noting about how the show handles its final season. When the park is in space, when the characters are cut off from Earth, when everything familiar is gone, the characters do something unexpected. They keep maintaining the park. They mow the grass. They fix things that break. They continue their routines, even though the routines serve no purpose in the vacuum of space. Nobody is coming to the park. Nobody is going to use the chairs. Nobody is going to walk across the lawn, but they maintain it anyway. That is not laziness. That is not habit. That is love. The characters maintain the park because the park is home. And home, even when it is floating through space, even when it is cut off from everything, even when it serves no practical function whatsoever, is worth maintaining. You take care of the place you love not because it serves you, but because it is yours, because your hands built it, because your sweat watered the grass, because every day you spent there, every fight and every reconciliation, and every "you are fired" that was never followed through on, made it sacred. The park is not a piece of land. It is a container for everything these characters have shared, and you do not stop maintaining a container when it is full. You maintain it more carefully, because what is inside is irreplaceable. This is the show's most understated twist about work. For 8 seasons, the characters complained about their jobs. Mordecai and Rigby called the work boring. Benson called them lazy. The work was the obstacle. The work was the thing standing between the characters and whatever they actually wanted to do. And then, in the final season, when the work has no purpose, when there is literally no reason to mow the lawn or fix the fountain or set up the chairs, the characters keep doing it, because the work was never the obstacle. The work was the bond. The shared labor was the thing that connected them. The daily, mundane, unglamorous act of maintaining a park was the love language of people who did not know how to say they loved each other any other way. You do not mow a lawn in space for money. You do not set up chairs in orbit for a promotion. You do it because the person standing next to you is doing it too. And doing it together is how you say, "I am here. I am not leaving. This is ours." There is a moment in the finale, after Pops's death, after the crew returns to Earth, after the park is restored, where the characters just stand there. They look at each other, they look at the park, they look at the world they almost lost, and nobody says anything, because what is there to say? They are alive, they are home, the chairs still need to be set up, the lawn still needs to be mowed. The ordinary work of living has not stopped, despite everything that happened, despite everything they lost. The world keeps turning, life keeps going, and the characters, scarred and changed and grieving, have to figure out how to live in it. And the silence says everything the characters cannot. It says, "We are here. We made it. We lost someone. We are standing in the place where he used to stand, and the grass is still green, and the sky is still blue, and the world kept going even though the best person in it is gone." The silence says, this is what it means to survive, not to celebrate, not to triumph, to simply be present, in a place that will never feel the same, and to accept that it will never feel the same, and to stay anyway. The show then gives you a montage. It shows you the future. Mordecai becomes an artist. He marries a bat named Steph. They have children. Rigby marries Eileen. They have children. Muscle Man and Starla raise their family. Benson meets someone. High Five Ghost plays music. Skips keeps working at the park, because Skips is immortal, and the park is where he belongs. And he has been carrying grief for centuries, and this is just one more grief to carry. The montage is set 25 years in the future. The characters are older, their lives are full, and they gather at the park, all of them, years later, in front of Pops's statue, and they stand together, and the show ends. The final twist of regular show is that it was always about mortality, not the supernatural kind, not the demons and the portals and the time machines, the real kind, the kind where people grow up and move away, and build lives and lose touch, and come back together, and realize that the thing that connected them, the park, the job, the daily chaos of being young and stupid and alive, was the most important thing they ever had. And they did not know it while they had it. Nobody ever does. The show tells you, in its final moments, that Pops died so that all of this could happen, so that Mordecai could grow up, so that Rigby could graduate, so that Benson could learn to let go, so that Muscle Man could be a father, so that Skips could keep carrying his locket, so that life, messy and imperfect and full of plot twists that nobody asked for, could continue. Pops died so that ordinary life could keep being ordinary. And the show asks you to consider whether that is not, in fact, the most extraordinary thing anyone has ever done. J.G. Quintel, who created this show from a single post-it note drawing at CalArts, who voiced Mordecai for 8 seasons, who developed these characters from student films called The Naive Man from Lollyland and 2 in the AM PM, who pitched the show with nothing but a picture of 3 characters running, built something that will outlast him. The Naive Man from Lollyland won 2 awards at the 2005 Nicktoons Film Festival. That short introduced Pops, a student film, A simple, sweet cartoon about a naive man visiting the United States for the first time. That was the seed. And from that seed grew a show that ran for 8 seasons, won Emmys, launched a movie, earned a revival, and told one of the most emotionally complex stories in animation history. From a student film about a man paying for a meal with lollipops, to a series finale about a god sacrificing himself to save the universe. That is not a career trajectory. That is a plot twist, the biggest one of all. The creator's own story mirroring the story he created, starting small, ending cosmic, and the whole thing, from the first drawing to the last frame, held together by the same simple belief that ordinary things matter, that regular things are extraordinary, that a park is worth saving, that a friend is worth fighting for, that a lollipop man smiling at the sky is the most powerful image in the universe. Regular Show began with 2 guys wrestling a doll and putting a hole in a wall. It ended with a god sacrificing himself to save everything. And the remarkable thing, the truly remarkable thing, is that both of those moments feel like the same show. Because they are. Regular Show was always about the gap between the mundane and the cosmic, the ordinary and the impossible, the small life and the vast universe. And the twist, the real twist, the one that takes 8 seasons and 261 episodes to fully land, is that there is no gap. The mundane is cosmic. The ordinary is impossible. A park is a spacecraft. An intern is a spy. A gumball machine is a broken artist. A yeti who skips is a man in mourning. A lollipop man is a god. And 2 slackers who cannot be bothered to set up chairs are the reason the universe is worth saving. There is one more thing. One twist the show saves for its very last trick. In the series finale, as the credits roll, we see a VHS tape labeled Regular Show. Someone puts it in a VCR, and on the screen, we see Mordecai and Rigby, animated in the style of J.G. Quintel's original CalArts short films, goofing around. The implication is staggering. The entire show, all 8 seasons, all 261 episodes, might be a tape, a recording, a document of something that happened, preserved on magnetic ribbon, ready to be played again whenever someone needs it. The story is over, but the tape exists, and anyone, at any time, can press play and start it again. The park is still there. The characters are still there. The twists are still waiting to be discovered. All you have to do is watch. The show is called Regular Show, and the final twist is that nothing about it was ever regular. Not a single frame, not a single moment, not a single character. The regularity was the disguise. Underneath it, from the very first episode to the very last, was something extraordinary. Something that used cartoon logic to tell human stories. Something that used demons and portals and time machines to talk about jealousy and grief and growing up and letting go. Something that took the most ordinary setting imaginable, a park, and turned it into the most important place in the universe. And something that trusted its audience, trusted them enough to bury its biggest revelations under layers of comedy and absurdity, knowing that the people who cared enough to look would find them. And they did. And they are still finding them. And they will keep finding them, for as long as someone presses play. That is Regular Show. That is every plot twist. That is the whole story. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.